Are you sitting comfortably? Then we'll begin.
10 minutes left. Yeah, but there's still some time. It's not the final score. We need more than the numbers we're given. Show us you live and breathe the game. You're more than a name. That's what we came for. We can bring you more than the score. Every story. Let's take this thing off of the field into the real world, away from the numbers, away from the numbers.
Welcome back, my friends, to the show that never ends. There's still time. The AFTN Soccer Show, broadcasting on CITR Radio 101.9 FM from the unceded Musqueam territory at the University of beautiful British Columbia. I'm Michael McCall.
And I'm Zachary Adam Eisenhammer.
He's back, the rock and roll star. He didn't go to Colombia. He went to Costa Rica. We will talk about that. But I'm sure his plane was supersonic. And just, it's trips like this that just makes him want to live forever.
Oh my. I see the shirt you're wearing. Yeah, we're talking about that, right?
Yeah, I'm wearing my 1995, because I don't buy a lot of clothes, Oasis at Irvine Beach in Scotland shirt, because, I mean, forget the Gallagher brothers reuniting. We're back for a podcast, Zach. That's the reunion everyone should be talking about.
Yeah, for real. My good buddy Flo, who I've mentioned before on the show, a German Flo, Bayern Flo. You know my buddy Flo?
Even
I
flow.
told- Yeah, sure. Pearl Jam. No, he
Hey, Flo.
messaged, dude, he
Hey, man.
messaged me about this. He said they're like his favorite band apparently or whatever. And he messaged me because he's the ticket guy, right? So he's like, look, I have a limited chance to get tickets. He's like, this is harder than getting World Cup final tickets. He's like, can you sign up for this thing to try and get an access code for me? But he said it in the middle of the night. By the time I
Oh.
was like, when I woke up, I was like, yeah, I'll do this for you. And I clicked on the thing and it was like, this is closed. But the crazy thing was, I just want to read this to you. Absolutely can't believe it. I got my tickets. Unsuccessful with other cities, but got cheapest €65 or €90 for the first and the third show. And guess what city he wanted to go see them in?
Edinburgh.
Edinburgh. Yeah, he got 3 each, I think, for each of those shows. 1 year to go. No idea what might happen. Maybe I can't do anything. Maybe only another city will fit. But hey, at least valuable material for swap.
Yes, very much so.
But yeah,
Because-
he is hoping to go. Like, he's a genuine fan who really wants to go. He's not like just someone who will sell them for like crazy amounts of money to people.
Oh, you mean like me?
Sure. I was
'Cause-
thinking more like big touts, but yeah.
Hey, you've got to start somewhere.
But no, he was over the moon. Like, he's so excited.
It's been absolutely crazy. Like, if you tune into any UK news program, that's been the main story for days. It's all over the newspapers. The Oasis reunion. I loved Oasis back in the day. The Britpop era was a special time for me, which, funnily enough, we are actually revisiting from this episode, but we'll come to that in part 4. So when I saw that they were back, I've been on their mailing list for years, so I got the ballot email. I signed up to it. I didn't get in the ballot. And I was like, I'll try and get tickets on the Saturday. And then I don't know if you saw, folk were sharing, there was over 500,000 people in front of some folk in the queue. I had friends in Scotland that were on for 8 hours and then either didn't get to the end or they got through and the whole site crashed. So I logged on, and I won't tell you my tips. I've done this before with things. I got in, 3,900 in the queue. 20 minutes later, 2 standing tickets for Edinburgh. There we go. All done.
You got them.
Yep.
Nice.
So I'm going to the third show in Edinburgh.
No, I should connect you and Flo to have a beer
Yeah.
before. Yeah.
So the reason I picked the third show was in case I need accommodation there. The hotels are crazy, but with that being the final show, after that, they're a lot cheaper.
Yeah.
So it's the sweet spot. It's at the end of the League One season. It's before the college season. I get to see Oasis. The football season started. The Edinburgh Fringe is on. The Edinburgh Film Festival is on. And the Edinburgh Book Festival is on that week. So
Oh,
it's
wow.
everything. It's a dream trip.
That's crazy.
But like Flo, it's a year away and I don't know whether I'll be able to go or not. So I know I can sell the tickets, but I got 2 tickets because I've either got a ticket to give to a friend that I know my friends didn't get tickets, or I can use that to blag staying with someone. Do you live in Edinburgh? Do you want to go? I want 3 free nights at your place.
There you go.
Yeah, so I've got it all planned, but I'm excited for it.
That's cool.
It's going to be a crazy time. Like, Edinburgh is insane in August because the Fringe is on. So hotel prices were through the roof anyway, but all these hotels have now shut down booking, so you can't book stuff. So it's kind of crazy. But that's my big trip for next August. You
Yeah.
are just back from a big trip this August, and this is actually our international edition of the show.
Right.
Well, mostly international edition. So I thought this is actually very fitting. You're back on the show. Regale us about your time in Costa Rica, and particularly the footballing aspect, as you sit there with your Saprissa shirt on.
Oh yeah. Vamos Saprissa. Yeah, no, I mean it was a work trip that Kirk got to be a part of, so that was really awesome. And I mean, if you want to talk about the football aspects of it, it's like when it was so nice going to a football country. Like, 'cause they just live and breathe it. It's everywhere, right? Like it's like when you're in Europe or whatever. And so from that aspect, it was fun because a lot of the engaging I was doing over there was just with people, and like I don't know, at least every third person was wearing some sort of football kit. And so that made my engaging a lot easier, right?
Wow.
Especially with my limited Spanish, which is, no bueno.
Hola.
Yeah. I can say a few things. I took 1 year in high school, and I've been on the Duolingo. Didn't really like play as much. Like there was pitches everywhere. Like we were kind of staying up in the hills. It was like we were sleeping on air mattresses in a room above a like in a church building above kind of a church. Every day we would drive to these places like half an hour or an hour away, and like I would pass like 3-4 like pitches where I'm just like, I wish I could kick a ball in that field. And the one time we went on this hike, I didn't know we were going to this community, and they had a field. They had a field. There was like the one time we didn't have a ball with us. Like we usually had a ball in the van or whatever. And I was like, I wish we could have, because it was like a nice field. Like it was like a proper little setup. No, it was great. And then on a footballing level, one of the things we did there was hang out with like a football program. So we were like with like a U9 boys, U11 boys, and then kind of like a 13 to 17-year-old girls team. When I say U9 boys, there was a girl in there too. So it was like, I guess, U9 players. The girl she was awesome. Little Gemma. That was just one of the mornings when we were there, and it was a ton of fun, because when you're playing football with kids, like even if you're horrible, you're not bad, right? So you don't feel as bad about how horrible you are.
Did you get a few studs up tackles, like
No,
make your mark early, set the tone of the game?
No. I took a corner. Because we were playing like the kind of gringo adults. Oh, we had this Nicaraguan guy on our team. We were playing gringo adults against these U9 boys, and the Nicaraguan guy, he was going over to take the corner. I went over to him, and I just whispered to him, "Cabeza," which means head. And so then I took the corner and I just flicked it to him, and he scored a header from the corner. This was on a mini pit. It was like this is like street football, like court football.
Okay.
So it was really good times. And then we got to go to a Saprissa match. So I got to go to the Monsters Cave, they call it, the Saprissa Stadium, and it was it was one of those things, Michael, where I told them, I was like, oh yeah, like I know this guy who plays for Saprissa, and like I think they were like, does this guy really know Like so at one point during the week we were sitting at a meal and I had been messaging with Kendall a bunch. I'd totally forgotten that he had a CONCACAF like Caribbean Cup match in the middle of the week. Because we was trying to connect with him a bit. And then I messaged him, he's like, yeah, dude, I'm in Nicaragua. So I was like, oh, but so there's one time I was just like we were after a meal or waiting for a meal, and I was like, I'm just gonna video call him. So I just video called him and he answered. He was just in the hotel room. I was like, are you busy? He's like, no, Poppy. He's like, I got lots of we're just hanging out at the hotel. We got hours till our next thing or whatever. So we talked for a while. And then some of the people they were like, who's he? Is he? And then they were like, oh, okay, he's really talking to him. And then I was like, oh, come talk to him or whatever. And so that was really good. And then like the day of the well, Kendall helped. I said to Kendall, I said, hey, we brought a smaller group, but we were with a bigger group. And so I said, Kendall, look, I don't need free tickets, but can you help us get tickets to the match? Because it's different getting tickets here than I'm used to. And so I was just like, I don't need free tickets, but can you help us get tickets together, maybe close to where your family is or whatever? And he's like, look, he's like, Poppy, he's like, this is not MLS. I can't get all free tickets. I said, I don't need free tickets. Just if you can help us get, he's like, no problem. I can help you get, he's like, I'll get you a better price than you can buy out on the, normally. I was like, okay, great.
Nice.
And he's like, I was like, can we be near your family? He's like, no, Poppy. They're like in a box or something. I was like, okay, that's fine. Yeah, so he got us tickets together, which was huge, like hugely helpful. Because yeah, it's not like Ticketmaster or anything down there.
That's a good thing.
You go on their website, they're like, yeah, for tickets, they're like, watch our social media on how to get tickets. I'm like, oh, this is not going to go well for me. But so yeah, so we got this tickets. We had this group of 23 of us who went to the match, which was awesome. Because part of the people I was down there with, they were doing some football stuff, and so they're actually forming. They've just formed a football club, like a proper club, starting in the fourth division, and they have some youth teams and
Wow.
stuff. And so, some of their kind of technical kind of people were joining us for this outing or whatever. And then, yeah, we went and like you would love it, Michael. Like we paid to park at a Taco Bell. In a Taco Bell parking lot, and it was just like one of those little like walks to the stadium where you're just like it's just so wonderful. It's like yeah, 2, 3, 4 blocks, whatever it was. It's night, it's dark, and like the whole little street we're on is like people selling flags and jerseys and scarves and I could get a little flavor for who the ultras were and like who the people were and and it was weird because it wasn't a segregated match. So like they were playing Cartago, but so there were some Cartago fans like walking to the stadium and no problems or anything like that. And I asked them and then they said, look, yeah, only when they play Alajuelense and Herediano are everyone's segregated. And then if they're playing other teams in a big match or an important match or whatever, based on circumstances, then they'll do full segregation and whatever. But no, it was great. And just like it's like a built in 1972 stadium. So has a little bit of an older vibe, but it's just like it's a proper football ground minus, no roof. Which was fine because even though we were there in rainy season, it didn't rain. So that was good. Yeah, it was brilliant. Like it was so amazing. So we got in like an hour earlier, we got food, just like hung out in our seats, warmed up, watched the ultras filter in. We were kind of on the opposite end of the ultras, so kids kind of have a good view of them. Because I told Kendall, I said, look, I'm coming with people like we can't be in the ultra section as much as I'd want to be there. I can't bring these people there. He's like, yeah, Poppy, I understand. We were actually kind of next to where the away supporters were. The block of away supporters was like right next. We were almost like right next to them. But there was a small group of them. They weren't super loud. I don't even know if they had a drum. But there were also away fans. Like it was like an MLS game. There was away fans kind of anywhere. And actually, there were
And
a
you
number.
taught your group, so you get these bags and then you piss in them,
No,
and
no.
then those guys over there.
There was none of that. None of that, Michael. But it was a very Central American game. So like, because of the atmosphere, we had a bunch of people who were like, this was new for them. We had actually, Mike,
Oh.
earlier in the week, some of my people were like, do I have to go to this? And I was like, yeah, you have to. This is part of our trip. You have to go to this. It was also the night before we left. It was the last thing we kind of did. I was like, yeah, you got to go. And everyone came, Michael, and they loved it to a T. Like they were just like, this is way better than anything I ever thought.
Oh,
And they
cool.
enjoyed the atmosphere. And then in the first half, Saprissa won a penalty, and they scored the penalty. And like some of our guys were like, these are like younger dudes, like college age dudes. They're like taking off their shirts. Like I was like, oh my goodness. It's like, oh, this is a
You've
little too
converted
much.
them now.
A little
They're
too much. But yeah, no, they
true
love it.
football fans.
Well, when Kendall came out to warm up, when he came out to warm up, he like waved at his family in the box on the other side of the stadium, and then he turned to us and he waved over at us, and they're like, "Is he waving at us?" And I was like, "Yeah, he's." And then same thing. The game was about to start. He like waved up his family. He looked over at us, gave the wave, and then
All the away fans thinking, "Oh, that's nice. He's waving at us for coming along."
no. And then and the game ended. They won 1-0, which was huge for them because they're not having a great season. Like they've had a difficult season, a bunch of injuries, all this stuff. Oh, there was a what you would call a skirmish at the end. It was, dude, it was crazy. Their key guy, I forget his name. He's a left-footed central midfielder, Argentine dude. He's the captain. So Kendall started as the captain. This guy came on at halftime. Kendall gave him the armband. I think time added on. He the ball was going out or was just out or and the whistle was blown or about to be blown and he smashed the ball into the opposition bench and started this skirmish, including one of the Cartago players like striking one of the Saprissa like staff and no, there's no VAR there. Kendall came over and grabbed the guy by the neck because after him afterwards I was like, hey, did you hit that guy? He's like, no. He's like, I did this. I was like, dude, were you not afraid to get sent off? He's like, I don't care. He hit my coach or whatever it was. And I was like, oh. So anyways, the Argentine dude gets sent off. So Kendall gets handed back the armband as that guy's leaving. And so like, it was just like, it was crazy. It was as boring as a 1-0 might sound or sometimes sounds, especially on a goal on a penalty. They had a goal called back correctly for offside in the second half. Saprissa did, but it was a really great game. Like it was just a game that like everyone really enjoyed. So the game ends. Poppy kind of was waving to the fans, whatever. And then he comes over and just had a good moment with him, which was really special. And then he said he told me this before. He's like, stay here. He's like, keep your people here. I'm gonna go shower. I'm gonna come back. I was like, okay, no problem. So I told everyone, I was like, don't leave. Everyone's gonna leave. Just stay here. If security gives us a problem, we'll just whatever. And then as we were waiting, I looked over and I saw Priscilla, his wife, coming. And so she came over and it was so good to see her. And then she's like, come with me. I was like everyone? She's like, yeah, everyone. And she was very Priscilla. She's like, yes, this is our house. Come with us.
Aw.
So she walked us all around on the one end and then down through and up to kind of next to where the players come in and out or whatever. And then we just waited and then he came out. And he was, just like said hi to everyone and just like, hey, let's go on the pitch and take some pictures. Which again, like it's a grass field, right? Like typical. I mean, the kids were all playing. Like his son and her brother were out on the field playing with a bunch of kids and stuff. But they're like, let's go on the field and take some pictures. So I was like, okay. So and again, everyone just like loved it. And some of the locals we were with were like real Saprissa fans who were just like, it was just like they were like, this is the craziest thing I've ever done kind of thing. So they went on, we got pictures. Some of them got some stuff signed and took a group photo and individual photos and just got to spend a bunch of time just hanging out. And I got to talk to, Priscilla and Kasek, their son a little bit, who's like this up and coming, little striker in Costa Rica, left-footed striker, fast, quick, can score. Lots of people have been expressing interest in getting him into he doesn't play in the Saprissa Academy. He plays in a different kind of setup. And so he's being highly sought after. But, it was, and then her parents were there too, which was really great to see them. They lived up here for a long time when he was up here. And it was just brilliant, Michael. Like it was
sounds amazing. And thank you for getting the bumper. I played it on last show.
Yeah, yes. I said, hey, Poppy, can you do this? He's like, of course. I was like, you remember Michael? He's like, yeah. He's like, Michael says hi. He's like, tell Michael I say hi. It was like the icing on top of the cake for like the trip as a whole. Like the trip had gone so well and been so amazing and so fun and so meaningful. And then this was kind of just like a nice, like, wow. And then for the football people there, it was just like, oh, okay. Like, and there's maybe some connections there. There may be some things they can learn or maybe some things that they can do in the future and all that kind of stuff. And so they were like, okay, this helps us think and this helps us see possibilities and connections and all that kind of stuff. So that was kind of cool. And then now we come home and like we can't stop watching Saprissa games on, well, at least the highlights, because we can't watch the game. Well, actually one of the we could watch the CONCACAF games on the CONCACAF YouTube channel, but
Mm.
we were following the Saprissa. So today Saprissa had the big derby against Alajuelense, the away derby. Kendall set up the goal in that, and they let an equalizer in the second half, so they tied. But
I was going
yeah,
to say, how's Kendall playing? Like, how many more years does he have in him?
yeah, we talked about that. I think like he's in good shape and he's feeling good and he's playing good and he's still contributing at a high level there, right? So I think like he's out of the national team right now. He's no longer in the national team. I talked to him about it. He's like, oh no, he's like, that's fine. He's like, it's nice to have the breaks and the whatever.
He's
Uh,
36 now.
yeah, he'll be 37 on January 1st. So
Mm.
he's getting up there. I think he has a couple of things he's evaluating in terms of like football, right? Like another contract with Saprissa, maybe looking at some other things. Priscilla looks after if you for those who do follow him on social media and you're like, man, the dude is like selling chicken and soft drinks and like whatever. Like Priscilla manages all that. So he's like in Costa Rica, he's like, because of the things he's done for like a national team and at Saprissa, he's like a dude, like everyone knows him and loves him, right? So he's always like doing all these ads for like almost anything you can think of. I know sometimes I look at this thing, I was like, what is going on here? And then like the end will come and like the brand will pop up and I'm like, I don't know what the heck that is, but I don't know. He looks happy to sell it. And then I talked
Well,
to
I mean,
Priscilla.
he's selling AFTN now as well.
Yeah,
And,
totally. Totally. So
oh, that's fantastic. Your jersey, is it a Kendall jersey or is it just
the,
Saprissa?
so I don't know if I told you this, but so we the people we were with when we told them, hey, we're going to this game and we want to get some Saprissa stuff beforehand. They said, okay, we'll take you shopping at the fan shop. The crazy thing about the fan shop, Michael, is it's like they don't have this year's stuff in.
Oh, wow.
So I went in. So this is like last year's home kit that I'm wearing. It's long sleeve, which is crazy.
Mm.
And they only had this in what they would call Gordo sizes. Like they only have it like I think like double, triple XLs. And then they had some white ones.
Wow.
They had some white ones from last year as well that were maybe a little bit smaller, but like they have none of this year's jerseys or not in the store yet, even though they're wearing them. So anyway, and then so I said, okay, no problem. I'm gonna get this one. And I said, hey, can you can you put number 4 Waston on the back? Oh, Kirk wanted that. I said, hey, can you do this? And they're like, no. I was like, are you kidding me? They're like, you cannot get number 4 for this. I was like, what? I was like, okay, I'm going to the stadium on Saturday. Can I get it done at the stadium? They're like, no. And this is like the official fan shop, right? Like the like official Saprissa owned and operated and run and whatever.
Wow.
I'm like, you can't get Kendall Waston. They're like, no. I was just like, oh, okay.
Why?
I have no idea.
I guess you
I,
could always get it done here. It's
yeah,
like,
but it's not the official number. I did acquire a Kendall Waston Saprissa jersey that is hanging in Kirk's room though.
I thought you would probably get something. That sounds fantastic because we haven't really chatted at all much when you were away or when you've been back. So yeah, good for the catch up.
Yeah, it was glorious, and hopefully on some of the social media I'll share some stuff,
Mm.
more pictures and video and stuff because I didn't really share much when we were there. Just for work, I have a big kind of report coming up next week where we'll share a bunch about the trip, and then kind of after that, then I'll put more stuff on social and yeah, talk about it more.
Well, I mean, that's it for the show. Thanks, everyone. That's our 3 hours up.
Yeah, you can. I know you'll edit this down to like 3 minutes.
Oh no, I've been interested in it. If anyone isn't, they can just fast forward. It's all
Fast forward,
absolutely
sure.
fine. And it's an international edition, so we're talking about football internationally. And although you wouldn't think it from our 23 minutes of nonsense to kick off the show, we actually have a very packed show of football chat. We'll be talking MLS, we'll be talking Whitecaps, we'll be bringing you 2 featured interviews, and both of those have an international flavour because we have our first sit down chat with the Whitecaps' latest addition, their newest DP from Scotland, Stuart Armstrong. So we have a good catch up with him, get to introduce him to people that might not know too much about him and his career so far. That's coming up in part 3. In part 4, we've got a fantastic interview with another international player. He's away representing his country at the moment in Nations League Haiti's Fafa Picau, and that is a brilliant interview. You will really enjoy that. You'll really enjoy both of those. So make sure you've got lots of hot beverages and chocolate digestives at hand to take those in. We'll also be talking about Canadian national team at men's senior level and women's under 20 level. We'll chat with women's under 20 head coach Cindy Tye. We'll also bring you some audio from the Whitecaps. Ali Ahmed away with Canada. Jay Herdman back from representing New Zealand at the Olympics. And we'll hear a little bit from Vanni Sartini as well. So very, very much a show with an international flavour. And now we'll talk about the Whitecaps playing internationally in Texas, which is a whole country of its own.
And Austin, in and of itself, sort of would probably maybe secede from Texas.
Yes. Well, yeah, that's the thing. It's like I've heard Austin's a lovely place to go. I do hope to get down there sometimes. But let's talk about the game on Saturday. As Zach's just throwing $50 bills around here. It's like, have you got any going for me?
No, sorry. My wife was like, "Hey, I need $20. Can you leave $20 out for?" She's got to pick something up in the morning, and
I've not seen you like splash the cash like that since that strip club down in Portland that we went to back in 2009.
Michael, I've never been inside a strip club. Well, except for that one. Did I tell you this story before?
No.
I told you the story. Yeah, I told you this story. It was like the early 2000s. And I went to go watch World Cup qualifying match. And it was a Saturday morning in Coquitlam or Burquitlam or whatever. And the game was on at some place next to this liquor store. And I went in and I'm watching the game or whatever. It was like England versus Turkey was one of there. Scotland was in a different room or whatever. And I'm watching the whatever. And then halftime, like the lights kind of undim. And I'm like, it's kind of strange.
You haven't told me this.
I'm like, why is there a pole going to the ceiling in the middle of that table? And then I looked around, there was another one over there, and I was like, oh, this is actually they're showing the game in like the strip club. But I mean, it was in the morning, so there was no strippers there, obviously.
Oh, well, I mean, you didn't need them. You're watching England. There's 11 tits on the pitch.
It was that game. It was the World Cup qualifier in Turkey where Beckham sailed the penalty over net, I think, and it ended like 0-0.
Talking about seeing twats. Let's get into some football chat. Whitecaps against Austin.
There we go.
42 days between Whitecaps MLS matches. 6 weeks.
But they can't take a break for all the international windows.
Oh man. I mean, the Leagues Cup, we won't go into it again, but I mean, it's just screwed everything up because now they've got to play in the international window and they're missing 6 players, 7 if you count Cyprian, who got the call up for the bench, and this one he's going away for the African qualifiers. So I mean, this was a huge game. It was a game we kind of set it up in the last show. If Austin won, the Whitecaps are really in the thick of a battle for just getting to the playoffs because it closed the gap.
Yeah.
Now Austin's out of the playoff places.
It's crazy.
Falls to 10th. And there's a 7-point gap between them and the Whitecaps. That is how big this game was.
That was huge, yeah.
The thing is, I think Austin knew exactly what was at stake.
They played like they played a little bit nervous.
Oh, it was well, they were better in the second half. They kind of came into it more in the second half. I mean, the game back here in May was a horrible game where the Whitecaps had outshot them 24-4 or something, and Austin had 1 shot on target. It was a 0-0 draw, and the Caps just couldn't get the breakthrough. So this was a lot more entertaining, but Austin were outshot 20-7, and the home side didn't get a single shot on target. Although Yohei did punch one out from under his crossbar from a corner, which I guess they're not classing as a shot.
No.
But I mean, for a home side, that's just dreadful.
Yeah, the play didn't look great, and the stats didn't make them look any better.
No. I mean, the game itself, it wasn't a classic. There's not actually tons and tons to delve into in it. The Whitecaps came out strong. Ranko had a header 4 minutes in. Then there was shots from Vite, Kubis, Berhalter, Fafa, Laborda. And in between all that, all Austin could muster was a few kind of scrambles in the Whitecaps box from corners. They were causing some issues from the corners, but they weren't doing any more than just causing some anxious moments, but the Whitecaps recovered it and cleared the ball. And then it looked like the Whitecaps had got the lead a minute before half time. Lovely Ryan Raposo layoff to Goldie. Beautiful
Mhm.
strike. Lovely finish. One of the best goals of the season from the Whitecaps. And then it was the video review was taking a bit long. And I was like, what the hell was wrong with that?
Yeah, same. Yeah. I was
And
like, what
then
is going on?
you saw it back, and I was like, oh, I guess they're looking at Ranko being offside, but he
Yeah.
kind of looks level to me. And then it gets given off. Now, I know why they've given it, because it looks like Ranko from one of the frames is goal side of Matt Hedges. But another frame kind of shows Hedges' shoulder and arm goal side of Ranko. Now, obviously, the arm doesn't come into it because you can't score from the arm, but the shoulder, my understanding, is fine. So if I'm seeing the Dallas jersey at one little frame, then to me, it's not, well, that's clearly I've got it wrong on the pitch. I'll definitely overturn it. There's an element of doubt there that I don't think that you can give that decision, but obviously I was wrong.
Uh, we've talked about this so many times in the past. I guess I'll say it this way this time. MLS likes to talk about the quality of their league and its standing within the world game.
And being ahead of the curve with a lot of technology stuff.
That too. If they want to keep going in that, they want to continue to develop that, they want to continue to improve its reputation and the quality within the league, then they need to be using the best technology for
Yep.
things like VAR, things like offside specifically, because then it leaves no doubt. Well, it leaves none of the doubt that you just described,
Yep.
and it validates their officials' decisions, or I guess you could say makes it for them or confirms it for them or whatever. And it would really, really be beneficial. Is there a cost involved in that? Absolutely. I guess
They're not a poor league.
but what MLS is saying to this point is that cost isn't worth us doing it.
Yeah.
Or they have some other maybe logistical barriers in certain stadiums or whatever, but they really need to overcome those hurdles so that they can progress. The league can progress in that way.
Wait till it screws Miami and Messi out of getting into a final or something. Then it'll suddenly appear.
Yeah, I mean, there are, different things have different types of catalysts, and you describe a very effective one within the organization.
Yeah. I mean, if you've got semi-automated offsides now, I mean, I've gone on about goal line technology and the wrist thing for a couple of years, even asked that one of the pre-season things that we had as well. And yeah, hopefully something can come of that. But with all that pressure in the first half, you're always worried, they haven't scored, they didn't take advantage of it, they're going to get caught in the second. Now, Austin were better in the second half. They had a few forays forward, again, without testing Yohei Takaoka, who had a really easy night out there. And it wasn't easy conditions for anyone. Like, if you saw Ryan Gould's jersey, it was almost opaque. It was like crazy. And he was like puffing when he went to take a corner. And I think some of the Austin fans were saying something at one point, and he had a little bit of banter with them. But yeah, I mean, the Whitecaps looked comfortable. It was a dominant performance. It was a comfortable performance. And then the breakthrough comes 70th minute. And it's another nice move. Ali gets a shot blocked. Rebound comes to Viti. Nice little 1-2 with Goldie. And then a strike, because Viti only scores bangers.
Yeah, seriously. It was a beautiful goal.
Yeah.
And you're right. A lot of his goals are quite nice.
Yeah. But, and I said this on the post-game show, that's what frustrates me.
Yeah.
He's got this. He can do this, and the consistency is not there. And I spoke to Vanni after the game about it as well. And he says, yeah, it's something we've worked on. He said he had a chat with him in the off-season about, I need you to be at this level more often. And I agree with what he said. For the last month during Leagues Cup and everything, he's got to that level. And I couldn't help but thinking, isn't it amazing when you've got an international call-up coming? You suddenly raise your game because you want to be in the international mix.
Not surprising, right? We see that whether it's a contract, whether it's international call-up, whether it's, desire to play in a final or whatever, players turn up their game. And yeah. not the last time. We'll see that.
No. But I mean,
That
there's
won't be.
really not too much more to kind of say about the game.
Can you? It's not so much about the game. I hadn't seen it. Um, how long is Brian White going to be out
We
for?
don't know yet.
Okay, there's no final.
No.
Okay, I hadn't seen so.
He's in concussion protocol now. That goes on until he's not showing symptoms. So they'll test him and they'll see if he's got better. Now we've obviously got Bjorn Inga Utvik that went out as well with a concussion substitution in the 83rd minute. And you worry every time Bjorn gets a head knock, you worry because he's got the helmet on. But yeah, it's a worry when he gets a head knock. So there's no update on him yet either. I mean, hopefully Brian is back next week, but I wouldn't be surprised if he isn't. It's his second concussion. He had a facial laceration injury as well, which I think may have been a concussion substitution at the time, but wasn't a concussion. But when you've had two in a season, you start to worry. And it's like, I don't think for a minute they would rush him back, but you don't want to rush him back. You want to make sure he's totally good for the run-in. And it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, I know it's a big game coming up against Dallas. It's a home game. It's another game where if Dallas win, they close that gap in the standings.
It's a goalless day, right? A
Yes.
goalless match. Yeah.
It's a many people-less match
Yeah.
because there's the six players
Yeah.
away. So I mean, they really could do with Brian coming in. But yeah, I guess we'll wait and see this week. And with Bjorn going out as well, I mean, the standout thing to say from this match, there was a couple of scares in stoppage time. Austin had a couple of chances that, again, they wasted. But on the whole, it was great defensive play. There was great structure. They kept that defensive shape. It seemed every player knew their role and they stuck to it and they executed the game plan. And yep, they only got one goal. They should have won by more. But at the end of the day, you take those 3 points. You've tied for the best road record in MLS history, tying with Kyle Robinson's 2015 side, and there's still a couple of games to go. So, I mean, all in all, it's a fantastic 3 points, and it was a great all-round team performance. Nobody you could find fault with, I don't think.
No, I agree with you. Good team performance and nice. There was a small contingent of traveling fans who went down for the game, so kudos to them. And it's always nice when you make those trips and your side gets the 3 points.
Yeah, it's a stadium I hope to get down to at some point. I have to do the Goldilocks thing of not too hot, not too cold, although I don't think it gets too cold. I just have to get the right weather temperature for me. Maybe it'll be a playoff thing. I do fancy going to all the playoff games this year if I can. I'd mentioned on last week's show, and I don't think you've had a chance to listen yet. So I'm
No.
away for the Canadian Championship final.
What?
I know. It was the only week I could get away during the college season for a trip, and it's Caitlin's birthday week, so we're going down to Oregon. So I was toying with flying home for the final, $320 from Portland, although it's now gone up to 360.
Oh my.
Yeah, you're shaking your head. I think I've decided not to, and I'll save that money for maybe a playoff trip.
I understand why, but if they're going to do a single leg final, it would also be interesting if they could maybe push to have it on a weekend, right? Like they're trying to make this more special, and they have. And Vancouver, like we've talked about before, has done a really great job at getting people on the ground, and I assume they'll do that again. I assume they'll reach 20, 25, maybe even 30 for this.
I don't know.
But can you imagine if it was a Saturday afternoon or a Sunday
Oh,
afternoon, or whatever?
yeah.
And like,
Well, that
I
would
think
also allow TFC fans to get out for it.
exactly, totally, and not just the ones that live here.
Yeah. And that's
Um,
that's what you want at a cup final.
Exactly. I really think if they're making so many exceptions for all these other things, you think that could be a priority for that. Like, I
Well, yeah,
mean,
it's like we get a game called off because LAFC's in a cup
exactly,
final.
exactly. If you're willing to move a league game for that, they didn't plan ahead for that eventual possibility. You
The
think
only
they
thing is
could?
the game, if they kept that range, the game that would be called off is the home game against Portland.
Oh yeah, it's not good either. But
No.
but that's what I mean. Like ahead of time, like early, like
Yeah.
as they're doing all this, they almost need to say, or even say uh like that's their bye week or whatever. You know what I mean? Like that's the bye weekend they're going to have, or the Canadian teams are going to have, or
Oh,
whatever.
that's a
So,
fair point. Yeah.
for in terms of MLS scheduling, right? Because
Yeah.
I think the CPL sides, if it were ever for them to be there, I think the league would be willing to, one, make that happen, or two, make an alteration.
Yeah. Very fair point.
All the best to the Whitecaps as they try and fill that again, because like we've talked
Yeah.
about a lot the last 2 years, they've done a marvelous job of getting people to those two
They
games.
have, but I think this will be a much tougher sell. That is still to come, though. There's a lot of football to be played before then. We'll be back talking about how the MLS West looking at the task facing the Whitecaps now against Dallas on Saturday, missing a number of key players, including the talismanic Ryan Gauld, but there's another Scot in town, Stuart Armstrong. He might make an appearance off the bench against Dallas on Saturday, but we're going to continue our post-Austin talk and hear from Vanni Sartini about the game and the task ahead with all the players being away. And we'll also chat to one of those players, Ali Ahmed, and a player that could get a call-up from WFC2 for Saturday's match against Dallas, Jay Herdman. We'll be back with all of that after this.
Hi, I'm Ryan Gauld, and you're listening to the AFTN Soccer Show.
Well, the mood settled down once the movie hit town. You know all the moves I seen. You never did understand how I watched all of them. Can't figure how you never did. Well, the moon is so gold, it conquers the soul like that very first moment we kissed. But you never will go far in a Japanese car, just thinking of the things that we missed. Promises if nobody honors them. What good are promises if nobody honors them?
Welcome back to the AFTN Soccer Show on CITR Radio 101.9 FM. And kicking off this part, I played them in the last show, played them again from Austin, Texas, and you will know us by the Trail of Dead. From their second album from 1999 called Madonna, and that was one of the best songs on it, Claire de Lune. I was trying to dig out my And You Will Know Us by the Trail of Dead t-shirt, but I seem to have thrown it out, which is not like me to throw out old band
No.
t-shirts, as demonstrated from my 1995 Oasis one that I'm wearing. Back to the football chat now. So that win for the Whitecaps over Austin saw them finish the weekend in 5th place in the West on 41 points. 3 points off Colorado in 4th, and they've got 2 games in hand on them. It also gives them a 7-point cushion, as I mentioned, over Austin, who had dropped to 10th, and out the playoff places. Now, great, but it's tighter than a gnat's chuff directly below them. Portland, Houston, Seattle, all on 40 points. Every point is indeed a prisoner. Where Portland beating Seattle 1-0 at home on Saturday night.
Yeah, did you see that?
I ended up watching. I wasn't going to watch it live, but I had it on while I was doing the post-game radio. Then I had it on while I was doing the post-game call. And then I was like, I may as well just watch the whole game now. It wasn't a great
No. That new
derby. Again,
is that a new Portland kit? Or is that a special one?
it's a special retro one. I love it.
Yeah, it's quite nice.
It's kind of like the color of what you're wearing, your Saprissa kit.
A little bit. Did you see the pre-match tifo?
No.
Oh, you should go check that out.
I tuned
Yeah,
in from minute 3.
I think you'd appreciate it.
Oh, yeah, because the Whitecaps game was a bit late ending, so when I flicked it over, it was already in the 3rd minute.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll check that out. Yeah, I mean, that game, it was a scary knock to Stefan Fry. I thought he was just like down trying to just break the play up or whatever, but
Yeah.
then you see it back and you're like, oh, he got clattered.
Yeah.
No jelly donuts for him for a while.
Yeah.
But yeah, it wasn't a great game. There's quite a few of these Seattle-Portland games of late have not been good.
I forget, I didn't even look up what that did for the Cascadia Cup standings.
I meant to do that as well, and then I didn't have time.
I'm gonna do it right now.
That.
It looks like that'll put Portland on 6 points with that victory, and so they're still all to play for. Because I believe this year they're doing all the games count by the looks of things, which is a little bit different. Because in previous years it's only been one home, one away. So they're still.
It's probably when they found out how bad the Whitecaps' home form was, and they've got Portland and Seattle coming.
Well, yeah. Anyway, it's still all to play for because after today's game, every team still has 2 games left. So it looks like it's Seattle on 4, Portland on 6, and Vancouver on 7, if I'm reading this correctly. So yeah, a trophy that'd be great for Vancouver to hold on to again, and as they look to, I guess, repeat the double cup performance and obviously push on in the MLS playoffs as well.
I'd have preferred a draw, both teams dropping a couple of points, but it was better Portland winning than Seattle. And then, as I mentioned, Houston all in 40 points now. Houston shocked LAFC. 2-0 win in LA on Saturday night. And I didn't see that one coming. I don't know if that was a bit of a hangover from the Open Cup game during the week. And then the Galaxy lost today 2-1. So it's all to play for in the West right now. Play a little bit of audio from Vanni Sartini after the match, just talking about the Austin game, but also looking ahead to this game coming up with Dallas now next Saturday, with a lot of Whitecaps players missing from it. Hey Vanni, how you doing?
Very good. A little tired, but good.
First of all, love the t-shirt. Nice Scottish legend.
Yes. The hand of God.
It seemed like a very strong defensive structure and a really good shape tonight. It seemed like everyone really knew what their role was and they really stuck to it.
Yeah, off the ball we played really well. We knew that we not having Brian, it's hard for us to I would say maintain the 3 strikers up top and be very relentless on the press, because Brian will be able to make the first pressure, and then if the ball doesn't win, boom, to drop in the space. So we decided to go with the 3-5-2 and having more bodies in the midfield to force them not having no space and try this long ball and try to win the long ball. And it went very well. But also it went very well because the possession part was really good. And when you finish the action every time in their final third, or they have to start back with the goalkeeper because we finished the action with a shot. We gain, I would say, meters on the pitch, and it's easier to defend for everyone.
I thought Pedro was excellent tonight. Aside from the goal, just the shift that he put in. We've seen him rise to the occasion and have some really good games, but the consistency's not always been there. What do you need to see from him to get that consistency now?
Keep doing like this. Is actually, to be honest, a month that Pedro is doing very well. Even right before the stop in the Leagues Cup, he did really well, and then in the last 2 games he did pretty well. So to keep doing like this, to be honest, this season I was very honest with him, because we take him to the high standards because we think that he can be a top midfielder in this league. And last year he showed it that he could have been. And this year, I think in the first part of the season, it was a little bit, not in the best condition or giving not the best performance. Last month, it's the Pedro that we saw in 2023, even better, because I think he defends better now. And, he's becoming almost as a leader to take risk in the middle of the park, to dictate the tempo. So really good.
you know how tough next week's going to be with the 6 players away. I mean, 7 if you include Cyprian as well. Is this on the one hand, it's good that I guess none of the key defensive pieces, apart from Andres, is away. Is this the kind of game that you might have to look toward doing some more WFC2 call-ups, especially depending with Brian and Bjorn?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. We'll do some WFC2 call-ups for sure. We have some players away, but we showed today that we're a very good team. And today, I think we changed 3 or 4 players from last game. 3 or 4 players different than the other game. So the 15, 16 guys that are staying here on the first team are really good, really good. And if there's the possibility to give a call to some of the young guys at the second team, we're happy to do it. And it's not because of that we consider the game like a mountain to climb. It's a hard game against Dallas. Dallas is a good team, but we can win for sure.
He's the gaffer. You can't try it on with him. He's the gaffer. Even when he's on a limb. He's the gaffer. When his back's against the wall, has the answer to it all.
So as mentioned there, the Whitecaps without 6 players next week. Well, actually, I'm saying it's without 5 now, but it's still technically 6 because Ali Ahmed and Sam Adekugbe were meant to be away with Canada. Sam had a mild groin strain that meant he missed the game in Austin and was replaced on the Canadian squad today. We're recording this on Sunday evening. So he's out, which would mean if he's withdrawn from the squad, even if he's good to go, he wouldn't normally be allowed to play in the game against Dallas. So those 2 likely to be missing. Andres Kubis away, Pedro Vite away, Ryan Gauld, of course, away. Come on, Ryan. And Fafa Picau also away with Haiti. So a lot of them away, and some players are really going to need to step up. Before we get into that, let's hear a little bit of audio from one of those guys that has gone away. Vancouver Whitecaps midfielder Ali Ahmed. Talking of Canadians having swagger, you're now heading off to be with the national team. What are you expecting from these 2 games? How much are you looking for the kind of change of scenery getting back into the national team camp?
I'm super excited, after you see what we did in the Copa America and, the relationships. We were together for a very long time and, we were all enjoying it. So, now we got 2 matches upcoming against, 2 good teams in CONCACAF. They may be friendlies, but we got to look at them for preparations for the Nations League and, upcoming competitions and tournaments to, prepare us. So, yeah, definitely excited to get going in camp tomorrow.
And it was really warm, hot and humid conditions tonight. I guess you're going to have that now in Kansas City and in Arlington. So good preparation for you to get your body used to that.
Yeah, this was a perfect prep for me. Perfect prep, honestly, getting a full 90 in the Texas heat. And I'll be back here as well next week. It's exactly what I needed. But, this kind of sucks that feels like I've been playing the heat for a good 5 months. Copa America. We were struggling for Atlanta Heat, wherever we went, Atlanta, Kansas, Charlotte. But I can't complain. It's a blessing to be on the class with the guys.
So, Ali, excited to be going away there, Zach, and hopefully he can show his stuff again. It's funny saying there, I was asking him about the heat and being in Austin is good for going away to Kansas and Texas. And he's like, I just feels all he's done is playing heat for about the last 2 months. That's going to take a toll on your body.
Yeah, but great experience for him, and excited for him to have this next opportunity with Canada.
Gutted for
He,
Sam.
yeah, oh, totally, yeah, of course. I feel like Ali earlier in the year showed really well with Canada, and I think his form with the Whitecaps kind of after that dipped, and it feels like
Yeah.
it's coming back up, and this is coming at almost like just the perfect time or just the right time, and hopefully he's able to go there and show, which will help him in the end of the season run for the Whitecaps, and then for him, whether that just propels him into a good season next year or propels him onto the stage like so many other Canadians have with different opportunities in different parts of the world. That would be pretty neat to see for him.
Yeah. Well, with all these players missing next weekend, it's going to be a very much a case of next man up for
Hmm.
the Whitecaps. And you've got to feel that there's some players that can really step up and come in. But I asked Vanni there, does this mean we're likely to see players called up from WFC2? And indeed, we will. And I think it might be quite a WFC2 heavy bench going into this one. Now, they've been in a decent run of form, had a shocker against Sporting Kansas City 2 on Saturday, going down to a defeat there with a couple of goals from Cam Habibullah coming back to haunt them. His brother Masood in the stands cheering him on. But I mean, you've got to think Florio Chateau maybe going to get a call up. Elliot Goldthorpe isn't probably going to be good to go. He's out with an injury at the moment. He had been showing well. So Cyprian Kichwali's going to be away on international duty. So I think we'll definitely see Florio Chateau, maybe a few of the younger Canadian guys as well. I would be stunned if we
Yeah,
don't see another call up for Jay
Jay
Herdman.
Herdman. Yeah, yeah. Is
Everyone's
he?
favorite Herdman right now.
Let's not get into that discussion. That's a oh man. How many? Where is he at in terms of his number? Because he's limited, right?
Yeah, he's had a couple of call-ups. He's made one appearance. So he
Sure.
played in the dying minutes down in Seattle.
So he still has
So
one
he,
more
he can
appearance.
still appear.
Okay, cool.
And then after that,
That would be a great
either
day. That'd be a great day for him to appear,
yeah,
right? Like, yeah, to get some real time
yeah.
to show what
Which
he can do.
I think if he's in the squad, he would.
And Dallas is coming off not I mean a really poor home defeat against Colorado, right? Was it like 4-3 or something? Like it was not a I only watched the highlights of that one, but it did not look good.
Well, they've had an up and down season, but it's another one of those things that they can very much close the gap in the Whitecaps if they come away with a win. So like they know like how huge this game is for them. And they're gonna, I mean, they'll be missing some guys as well. It's just so stupid having to play through the international break because of the likes of the League Cup, just like screwing it up for everything. But yeah, they are gonna know that they can close it back. They're still in the playoff mix. They're out of the playoff spots just now in 11th and 33 points. They've played 27 games, so they've played the same amount as pretty much everyone else, except a couple of teams. But if they can win this right now, they are 8 points behind the Whitecaps, but they could close that gap to 5, and they could, depending on other results, possibly get themselves back into the playoff spots by the end of next weekend. So they'll be up for it, but they don't travel well, and they've only had one win on the road all year.
Right. Yeah.
But let's hope we do see the likes of Florio Chateau and Jay Herdman in the squad. Jay, 20 years old now, and coming back from an injury at the end of last year. He's had a good season with WFC2, went away to the Olympics with New Zealand. And let's start more of our international flavour to the podcast now, because I got a chance to catch up with Jay, not after this last game, but the one before, just to chat a little bit about coming back from the injury in this season so far, but in particular, his time away at the Olympics. And I didn't ask him on camera if he got wound up about any drones as being the Canadian Kiwi. I did ask him afterwards, and he said, no, thankfully, nobody did. I think
Hmm.
he dodged a bullet there. But let's hear
Yeah.
now the Olympic experiences of Jay Herdman. So, Jay, the last time we spoke, it was just before you were going off to the World Cup, and I was going to speak to you when you got back, but then obviously you got the injury. So, if we go back to the injury and the rehab, what was that like for you? I guess that's one of the toughest bits of your career so far, trying to come back from that. I was here. It was such a bad one at the time.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it was a tough one, especially coming back from I think it was my second game back from the U20 World Cup. I was feeling good as well, and then, yes, it was a tough one to take, but, I mean, it was a long process, but the rehab I did with the club and everyone got me coming back fit, super fit, technically wise, I was really sharp, so it was a tough one, but at the same time, I think I came back a bit stronger.
Before we look at this year, just look at your experience at the World Cups, and if I've got to ask you about it, what was that like? You got a goal in a World Cup, you got through the group stages, which was fantastic. Just talk about that whole experience playing in Argentina.
Yeah, it was really cool. Especially being in Argentina, such a football country, I would say. It was a really cool experience to play some top teams, and especially being with that New Zealand team, they're a great group of guys. So, yeah, the goal was special, especially having my family out there as well. So it was pretty cool.
Now, this year, the Olympics. I mean, did you ever think that you'd be an Olympian?
No. I mean, probably not. But it was a really cool experience as well. A bit different than the 20 World Cup, I'd say. Played some really quality players, I thought the team did. For the group that we had, I thought the team did really well.
Yeah, I mean, getting that win the first game was obviously so big for you.
Yeah.
What was that experience like? I know the old thing, what goes on in the village stays in the village and all that kind of stuff, but what was it like being in the Olympic Village with all these world-class athletes from all these different sports?
Well, we weren't really in the village because football spread around. So we were in Nice for our first game.
So you didn't get
Nice.
any time in the village?
I got a day in the village, which is really cool. Yeah, when we were heading back. But yeah, it was a really cool experience. I've never really seen anything like that before. Just seeing all these athletes and how it was set up, it was. I don't know what more to say. It was really cool to see all the athletes.
I take it then you didn't really have time to go and see any of the other events. You're just training and playing.
Just I didn't see any events. I wish I did because they looked really cool.
Are you going to get a tattoo to see you're an Olympian?
I don't know yet. Maybe. I don't know yet.
You've got to.
Yeah, I know. I might. Yeah.
I volunteered at the winter ones here. I always got a tattoo just to say, I was at the Olympics. So if we look at club level now, so obviously you're having a good season, winning goal today. The team's on a good run, but you've also now made your first team debut. Talk about that. I know you've been on the fringe, but to actually get on and in a Cascadian derby as well, and it must have been just so many dreams up to that moment coming true for you.
Yeah, no, it was. I've been at the club for around 7-8 years now, since I was 12 years old. So I've always wanted to play for the first team. So especially coming on, it was a perfect scenario. I would say down to 9 men, I think at the time, winning 2-0. So I got to play lots of time, lots of space, especially against the Seattle big rivals. They had a really cool atmosphere, so it was kind of a dream come true moment.
I was hoping you were going to get the call up to the TFC game so you could play against your dad, but it wasn't to be. But with the twos now, you're on a bit of a run. You've got this win today, win over the 90 minutes. It looked like you almost had it, but now you've got 4 home games coming up, and you know how good you've been at home. During June, you had that 5-game run, and Rico, like just telling you just now, use this as motivation for the end of the season. How do you see this run-in going?
I think Svangard's a special place for us. I think as a group we really work together. And like you said before, we had that 5-game spell where we didn't lose a game, won every game home. So I think if we look back to that, we're a really solid team here. And I think it's important for us to capitalize on this win, because it's a tight. Playoffs is really tight this year, so we can't really take our foot off the pedal. But I think we keep doing what we're doing, and then I think we'll make playoffs, especially with these next 4 games at home.
Last thing, How have you seen your game grow then over the last couple of seasons here with the twos, and what do you feel you still need to work on now to get that first team contract?
I think for me, I'm playing a lot of different positions at the moment. 8, sometimes I play wing back, but it's normally 8 and 9. So I think that's helped me take some stuff from my midfield position to take as a striker. So, and vice versa. So I think this year I'm scoring quite a bit than what my last 2 years have been. So I think scoring's a big one for me, just attacking the box, getting goals, and I think for me, just probably be a bit more effective. I know I can affect the game a bit more, but I think if I want to push on to the first team level, I think it's need to be a bit more effective, more goals, more assists, and I think that's what I need to work on.
Good luck for the rest of the year,
Thank you.
Yeah, nice to catch up with you.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Jay Herdman there. Hope we can see him on the bench and get some meaningful minutes in that game against Dallas. Nicolas Florio Chateau as well. We'll see how that one goes. It's definitely going to be a tough one. But there's a new player in town. Scottish international Stuart Armstrong announced on Tuesday morning as the Whitecaps' latest signing, their third DP on the current roster and the fourth Scottish DP altogether. He was unveiled to media and to fans at noon on Tuesday. Before that unveiling, I got a chance to sit down with him just to chat a little bit about his career, his journey to Vancouver, why he's made the decision to come to MLS at this point, and a lot more as well. So go stick the kettle on, grab your biscuit of choice, and join us for our first featured interview of the episode after this.
Hi, I'm Stuart Armstrong, and you're listening to the AFTN Soccer Show.
Welcome back to the AFTN Soccer Show on CITR Radio 101.9 FM, the only soccer show on Vancouver radio. And kicking off this part, we've taken you all the way back to 1980. English band, orchestral, Manoeuvres in the Dark, with the only single taken from their second studio album, Organisation, that was a hit all over the world, still played on the radios all over the world to this very day. That was Enola Gay. The song is an anti-war song addressing the atomic bombing of Hiroshima by the aircraft Enola Gay in August 1945. That's not why I played it though. It is also the song that spurned the famous Celtic chant about Stuart Armstrong. So, since we're talking all about the Whitecaps' newest edition in this part, it seemed only fitting to play the original, and we'll play a version of the Celtic chant in this episode's Wavelength in part 5. But yes, The rumours over the weekend were true, and the Whitecaps on Tuesday announced that Scottish international midfielder Stuart Armstrong had signed a designated player contract, committing to the Whitecaps through to the end of the 2026 season. A good long-term deal for the 32-year-old, and he comes to Vancouver with a wealth of experience. 4 Premier League titles with Celtic, 2 Scottish Cup titles with Celtic, and 2 League Cups as well. In amongst that included 2 treble seasons in 2016, 2017, and 2017 and 2018. Armstrong came through the youth academies with Inverness, Cali and Dundee United before spending 5 seasons in the SPL with Dundee United, a further 4 with Celtic, and then signed a deal to take him to Southampton in the Premier League in the 2018-19 season. Played 5 seasons in the Premier League before Southampton got relegated in May 2023. Last year, playing in the Championship, made 42 appearances for the Saints in the league and a further 3 in the Cup, helping the side to get promoted during the playoffs. Armstrong has made over 500 appearances for all 3 teams across all competitions, 74 goals to his tally as well. And he comes to Vancouver having represented his country 51 times, 5 goals in that as well. He played for Scotland at the most recent Euros, coming back from an injury to play in the last game against Hungary. Also played in Euro 2020 as well. He's had a good career. He's far from done. He's going to be an absolutely fantastic addition to the Whitecaps midfield, becoming the 3rd current designated player with the Whitecaps, the 2nd Scot, and the 4th Scottish designated player for the Whitecaps in their MLS era, following on from Kenny Miller and Barry Robson, and of course his former teammate at Dundee United, Ryan Gauld. So what was it about Armstrong that made Axel Schuster, the Whitecaps, decide that he was the guy that they wanted to bring in as the designated player, the difference maker, the missing piece to the puzzle? Let's hear from Whitecaps CEO and sporting director Axel Schuster. Axel, how did this come about from your side of you? When did Stuart come on your radar, and how smooth that transaction was this for you? I know you were over in Scotland recently, so it's like, how much did you really want Stuart to get this to happen?
I think I've been very clear. I was a bad negotiator when I met him, and I told him that he is a missing piece for us, and that we feel about him the same way we felt about Goldie and Kubas. And then you probably get a little bit tired of my sentence always saying that we don't want to sign the first one, we want to sign the right one. And it felt a little bit like the way we had to work on the transfers of Goldie and Kubas, and now also with him. And there were, if you are completely convinced of something, you have to invest a lot and go all in. And so we actually met not in Scotland, we met in France. I crashed his family vacation. And we had a good evening in an Italian restaurant in France. So, I knew from the beginning that we have to give him the feeling that our door is wide open, that every blocking stone, if there is one, we want to put away, that we want to show him that we are up to solve every of the problems he maybe has with this move. And I want to be very clear, there was no problem on the Sporting side. I want to say thank you to his wife, because they have a 3-month-old kid. She is still working on her career. And I think that she was also, had the feeling that we've also had to convince her to do his move. So I want to say thank you here to her for letting this happen. And then it was giving him the time, not pressing too much, with always being in his ear and saying, hey, we're still here. We would be still open. And then at some point, when he called me and said, look, I would be up for it. then it went very quickly. I think from the call until he jumped on the plane, it was like 24 hours maybe. So that was then the easiest part of all of it. So said that, we're super happy to have him here. We have worked on that since a few weeks now, but I also don't want to miss the moment that we have welcomed another player today, and we brought Diver back. So I think that overall the whole transfer window, this whole signing window for us was a good one, and now we have to go back to work and get the best out of it.
Axel S there, talking about just why he wanted Armstrong to come to Vancouver, and he is going to be a great addition. Now, he spoke at his introductory press conference. He's not match fit. He is fit. He's been most recently had a week's trial with Brentford, the English Premier League team. So it's going to take him a little bit of time to get up to speed. He's hoping to do some double training sessions, and he does hope to be available off the bench for the game coming up at the weekend against Dallas. Where exactly, though, does Vanni Sartini see Stuart Armstrong fitting into his plans? He can play in a couple of different positions in the midfield. Well, let's hear from the gaffer. And Vanni, where do you see Stuart fitting into your team? Obviously, he'll play as an 8 or 10. It's like, where are you seeing him fitting into the squad?
Yeah, I think I consider Stuart a good, creative, offensive midfielder. So I think his natural position, if you can call it natural position, I like to see him as an 8 when we have the ball, and to help us progressing the ball forward and to give us a lot of things, because I think besides the thing that he said before, that is true with the transition part, the creativity part, it's also the fact that he has 500 games of experience at a high level, so he can also help in managing the tempo sometimes when we have the ball and everything. And when we don't have the ball, it's gonna be depends on from game by game. It's in some games it will be like a number 8. In some games he can be playing even a little higher, one of the 210 behind the 9 without have the ball. But I think the most important part is I would say, it's never a problem to modify a little bit the structure or everything when you get a new player of quality. And it's in his career he played also in some other positions. So if we need, he can play wide, he can play even higher on the pitch. So that's very good to have the possibility to have a quality player that can also be versatile.
The gaffer, Vanni Sartini there, delighted to have the addition of Stuart Armstrong. I am as well, and it's gone down very well amongst the fan base. Now, it might not be a big name that's going to shift tons of tickets on name alone, but I think the Whitecaps and Axel have made it very clear that that is not their MO. They want a hard-working designated player. They've got that in Andres Kubas, they've got that in Ryan Gauld, and now they've got a third one in Stuart Armstrong, and he is going to be a great attacking piece to this Whitecaps side. Also, he's not afraid to put in a good defensive shift as well. And I think the reaction to fans has been good. And in the lead up to this being announced, and got to give a big hat tip to Glass City, who's been all over the Stuart Armstrong stuff since he saw that he was a free agent, put it out there. I actually, when we had our last chat with Axel, after we finished talking, I asked him about Stuart Armstrong, and he basically said, everyone you see as a free agent on transfer market, we are very aware of. And I was like, because that's where I was looking too. And he's like, oh, we're very aware of Stuart, we're very aware of everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Now, after I had my chat with Axel, he went on some travels to a couple of places in Europe, but it did look like it wasn't coming to anything, because Stuart Armstrong was training with Brentford. He's 32 years old. He's got a lot of gas left in his tank. He's got amazing hair, Zach. He will be the best hair in that Whitecap side.
I don't remember anything special about his hair, Michael.
Oh, the Celtic fans even sing a song about his hair. It's luscious. You just want to run your fingers through it.
That doesn't look anything special.
Ah, I'm sorry, you don't understand here. He plays as a tennis and attacking midfielder. He can play the 8 role. For me, a front three of Gold on one wing, Fafa on the other, White through the middle, and Armstrong behind. That is playoff material. That could be the piece that pushes us top 4.
I barely remember him from the Euro, but
should have had a penalty against Hungary. Absolutely robbed. Referee. Anyway,
I trust you, and I can't see it not being like an upgrade going, for the squad, and especially going into the playoffs.
Yeah. So that's our thoughts on Stuart Armstrong. You've heard the thoughts of Axel Schuster. You've heard the thoughts of Vanni Sartini. Why don't you hear from the man himself? Before his introductory press conference this morning, I got a chance to sit down with Stuart for 20 minutes or so just to talk about his career so far, his journey to Vancouver and MLS, what has been behind making the switch, and a lot more besides. So go stick the kettle on, grab your biscuit of choice, sit back and enjoy our first feature interview this episode with the latest Whitecap, Stuart Armstrong. Stuart, delighted to have you here in Vancouver, and I know you've been here for a few days. What's been your initial thoughts of the city so far?
Initial thoughts is that the city itself is very impressive, and I've been amazed that it caters for every mood that you have. You've got the mountains, the ocean, the city, and then you come out slightly and you've got like a blend of Kitsilano with the beach and also like the shopping. The food's great, people are so nice, so a very positive experience so far.
I think you've summed it up perfectly. You've obviously done well in your few days here so far. Was it a tough decision for you? I mean, you've played your whole career over in the UK. I know that you've been training with Brentford. There's been interest in you. You just look on social media and fans from clubs and the Premier, the Championship are saying, "Oh, Stuart Armstrong's a free agent." Was this a tough decision?
I think it was a tough decision, not only from a footballer perspective, but from a lifestyle as well. I've been fortunate enough to have some amazing experiences at amazing clubs. I've played in a lot of sort of historical competitions. Celtic, coming through at Dundee United, the excitement of that, first taste of football, and then going to Celtic with, that mentality of winning and Champions League. Southampton in the Premier League, playing against the best players in the world, and the toughness of that and the endurance of that. So the contemplation of MLS in Vancouver, I think, was, it took a lot of time to think about and a lot of discussions with my family and a lot of internal thinking. But it felt right. It felt right for me, and at this stage of my career, I'm 32, and to continue for a few more years playing football. I wanted to enjoy it. And it just felt right coming to Vancouver, the city, everyone speaks so highly of it. A new experience of MLS. I've spoken to a few players and staff who have worked in the MLS, and they spoke very highly of it. So all those factors, you can tell I've talked a lot about it, sort of contributed to the decision to come here.
I know, like from my friends in Scotland, MLS is still not highly thought of. And like for the last 2 years, I've been saying, "Oh, Ryan Golden, he's called up for Scotland," and they're all like, "Oh, he's playing in MLS. It's not a good league." It's hard to shake that perception. But I think when folk come here, like we had Wrexham here in a friendly recently, and the players were like blown away by the city. Mm-hmm. What is your knowledge of MLS? What is your perception of MLS and the quality of it?
My perception of the MLS, I would have to say, is that it's a growing league. So it's a mixture. You have some experienced players coming here, some very famous players coming here when they're a lot older but finishing their career. You've got some young players coming through, and then you've got sort of the like the Ryan Golds and in their peak and performing really well and deservedly going to Scotland, and But it's a hard one. It's hard. You have a perception of MLS. You see highlights. You see different things. So I think it's hard to actually grasp true understanding until you're here and see it for yourself. My initial perception is, the training facility is very impressive. It's pretty much like for like from what I'm used to. Everything's very professional. So yeah, I can understand people's perceptions of the MLS, and I'm just looking forward to experiencing it over the next couple of seasons to have a true understanding myself.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of have to make your own mind up off it, and it's a weird league because one week you can be in altitude, and it can be snow, it can be rain, it can be sun, heat. There's just so many different things, and obviously there's been a few Scottish players that's been over here. You know, Ryan, Gary Mackay, Stephen was here as well. How much talking did you do to any of the guys that's played here before?
Well, obviously I spoke to Goldie a little bit. I spoke to Gary Mackay, Stephen about his time at New York. Obviously at the time when he came back, but also a little refresher. I called him and asked him how his experience was in the MLS. And so just trying to do like a bit of research and find out what the guys thought, and I'm sure you can interpret it. The conversations were good, so that's why I'm sat here. So I'm just looking forward to experiencing the league, experiencing a new culture, new style of plays, and just enjoying my time.
I want to take you way back now. So when you were growing up, I know you came through like Inverness Cali, Dundee United Youth Academies. When did you know that you had what it took to be a professional footballer? And when did you know that was the career that you kind of wanted to go down?
I think from a very young age I had it in my mind that I will be a professional footballer. I'm talking maybe like 7 or 8. I remember my stepmom saying that you need to work hard in school, which of course you need to do. You do work hard in school. But I always used to think like, why? I'm going to be a professional footballer. I don't need school. I'm going to be a professional footballer. And then that confidence took a big hit when I was like 13 or 14, and I didn't get into Aberdeen. So that sort of derailed my thoughts that maybe I'm not going to be a professional football player. And I continued to play and went to Inverness at 16. But it really started to sink in and make me believe that I could be when I moved to Dundee United, and Stevie Campbell gave me a 2-year youth contract. And sort of really believed in me, the first person to really believe in me at that level. And from then on, that year was fantastic. Started breaking into the first team around 18, and it's been sort of on the rise since then.
That Dundee United team, it's crazy you never won a trophy, but when you're playing against Celtic and Rangers, it's tough to get trophies. But you look at the guys that's come through it. Like I was telling you, I'm an East Fife fan. We had Danny Swanson at East Fife, but like the top guys like yourself, Ryan, Gary, Alan Suter, but even like the Andy Robertson and like Rudy Scatchell, like guys that's got so much talent in Scotland and that's done all that. When you look back at that time, how do you look back at your years at Dundee United?
Very special. I think the early stages was that just pure excitement of being on the bench for the first team and fans being there watching the game, coming on and being so aware that people were watching you play football. And as you got more accustomed to it and excitement, and then the year where Goldie was in the team, we did have such an exciting team. We would win games 6-4 or 7-5, and it would be just a lot of fun playing every week. So attacking, so dynamic. We should have won the Scottish Cup against St Johnstone. That one will haunt me forever. But yeah, that was my favourite time. My favourite year at Dundee United was just a very exciting year and a very good team to be a part of, and with some amazing players.
When you moved to Celtic, obviously if you want to stay in Scotland and you want to play at the top level, there's one or two teams you're going to end up playing for. You're going into a goldfish bowl though, and it's horrible at times and it's great at times, but did you have to think twice about that?
I think, to be honest, I always had my grandparents lived in England, so I used to go there on holiday and always watch the English Premier League, and that was my dream. That was the ultimate. Just because you've grown up watching it, and that's just the way it was for me. So before I went to Celtic, my aspiration was always to go to the Premier League. But when Celtic came in, it was hard not to go, and I did go. And just the sheer size, I don't think you quite realise what it is until you're in it, and the volume of just the enormity of the club in itself and its presence. It's worldwide. The amount of fans, the passion, the pressure. So I experienced both sides. I experienced a really difficult start, where I don't think I was that well received. I wasn't playing that well, and then it clicked for me when Brendan Rodgers came in, and I sort of changed position. And really thrived under him. So I experienced both sides, but I have nothing but love for my time at Celtic and just the way it was, and the European experiences, winning, the sort of demand that a draw wasn't good enough. Even sometimes a 1-0 win with an average performance isn't good enough. You need to play well and win well every single week. And to have those sort of demands was quite the experience. And I had some great times there.
It always amuses us as like fans of lower league teams in Scotland that if a bad season for Celtic, you finish second and you maybe only won one cup or no cups. Like for an East 5, a bad season for us could see us go out of the Football League. So it's all perspective, but you did get your move to the Premier. You had 5 seasons there with Southampton. You helped get them back in it last year. How was that whole experience for you?
Yeah, when I moved there in 2018, it was sort of a bit of like it took a bit of time to get used to, because obviously you're used to watching the Premier League and on TV, and then to be in it, you realised how fast-paced the league is, and it is a step up, and everyone's technical, everyone's fast, everyone's strong, so that was a bit of taking time to get. It was a readjustment again, but yeah, I had some amazing experiences in the Premier League with Southampton, some amazing games, wins against the top teams, against the best players in the world, and that's where you want to compete. And yeah, I met some amazing people along the way. So last season the Championship was again different, very intense, demanding, so many games, but also one of the most enjoyable experiences I've had in football, of just like that constant game, and then the prize at the end of getting back up to put the club back into the Premier League. So yeah, it's not always sunshine. There's always lows in football. I did experience some tough times, not only at Southampton but across my whole career. But yeah, some amazing highs as well, and I'll cherish those memories.
So what happened then at the end of last season? Because they released you. Did they want to keep you? Did the injury derail everything, or were you just wanting to kind of look at your options?
I think it got to a point with Southampton that I'd experienced so much sort of nuances with the club. I think it was time that I felt within myself that it was time to move on. That kind of changed slightly with Russell Martin coming in and really enjoying his style of play and possession football, just the way he is as a person, and the way you can have dialogue with him. And there was some talk about it, but I think, if I'm being honest, I knew within myself that maybe it was time to experience something new. So yeah.
And you were training with Brentford over the summer, which has got you to a good level, at least for coming into the games here. I mean, was that a possibility? You might not want to say too much. I know we've just met, so you might not want to share too many things, but like, did you have the chance to do that, and the lure of being in the Premier League compared to this big new adventure that you've got?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. It is tough. My week at Brentford was a nice experience. And
was it just a week?
Yeah, it was just a week.
The stuff I read, it was like you were there for weeks or
no.
something. Oh, okay.
I was just there 1 week.
Oh, right.
So yeah, just a week. A week training. But But yeah, it was nice to experience another Premier League club and a completely different style to Southampton. Met some really great guys, great manager. So yeah, it was a nice experience. But yeah, nothing beyond that.
Let's talk Scotland.
Yeah.
That was a penalty against Hungary, wasn't it?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. 51 caps, and again, highs, lows. I won't talk about 2017. When I was telling my friends that you were signed for the Whitecaps, I got 2 comments. One was, ask him about the England game, and one was, ask him about his hair. So that was the 2 things that stood out for them. But what's been your experiences like with the national team? Do you still want to play for the national team?
Yeah, of course. It's always a special place to go and be a part of. Like, playing for Scotland is such a unique experience. It's so different to club football. But Steve Clarke's created this club environment at international level, and going there and seeing the boys is great. Always a lot of fun. Always a very good time. So yeah, I never ever closed the door. It's great for Goldie going now, and I'm sure he'll do really well. And yeah, it's always a nice experience. I would never close the door on that.
You got to experience 2 tournaments. Now, I'm old. In my 50s now. So when I was growing up, Scotland were at World Cups constantly. 5 in a row, 6 out of 7. Then the big gulf. Did you ever think you were going to get a chance to play at a major tournament? You obviously hoped you would, but did you think that was going to happen?
It was always a dream, of course. But because there'd been such a long time since the last one, you always felt that would you ever get it? And playing with people who were going to the Euros and World Cups, I used to be so jealous. Like, you don't know how good you've got it. So when we did it, it was like an unbelievable experience, achievement. And then to do 2 is obviously incredible too, and obviously we're disappointed to miss out on the World Cup. But yeah, incredible to be part of a generation that reached 2 Euros after, I don't know how long, 20 odd years since the last one.
Well, with 7 games here in 2026, I'm hoping Scotland's here. Hopefully you're there on the pitch as well. Well, it's a pleasure chatting to you today, Stuart. I've been trying to get people to learn the Celtic song about you, about the hair. So apologies if that is now what they adopt for you. But how did it feel last thing, just everyone just going on about your hair? As I said, Doug on our show was like, ask him about his hair.
Always nice. Always nice. And
I can't remember that.
This song's amazing, and yeah, just the Celtic fans in general. And when you hear that and you're winning and you've scored a goal, it's an incredible feeling.
Well, let's hope we hear it here. A few more goals. Welcome to Vancouver, Stuart. It's been a pleasure chatting to you today.
Thank you.
Fantastic stuff from Stuart Armstrong there, and had a little bit of a chat with Stuart after the press conference as well. So he's coming over here with his wife and his newly born daughter, and that in itself is a very daunting thing. Not just coming to a new city, but coming to a new country, a new way of life, and it will take a little bit of time for Stuart and his wife to adapt. He spoke about the grandparents are a little bit sad that they've made the move, but his family has some friends that do know Vancouver, do live in Vancouver, and everyone he's spoken to has been so enthusiastic about the city. And we saw this when Wrexham came, and I mentioned this on a show a few weeks ago. The players just loved the city, and a lot of them said, we'd love to come back at some point. So it will take them a little bit of time to settle in. Now, it doesn't always work. Now, I mentioned the previous Scottish DPs, Barry Robson. It didn't really work for him. He didn't like the environment, didn't like playing on a non-grass pitch, and just didn't really settle. Kenny Miller, he did settle. He liked it here. He loved it here. He enjoyed playing in MLS with the Whitecaps. But unfortunately, it was his wife that didn't settle. And happy life, happy wife, as the saying goes, and it is something to bear in mind. Stuart spoke during the press conference about not wanting to put any pressure on his wife to make the decision, but also she didn't want to put any pressure on him. So they had to come to this decision together. And I'd mentioned to Axel there about him being over in Scotland. He obviously wasn't there chatting to Stuart, so maybe it was just a little vacation, maybe it was some agent stuff, or maybe there's someone else on the radar. But it does show you how much the Whitecaps wanted him. Axel flew to the south of France, met with Stuart, met with the wife, did everything without putting too much pressure on him, and it's paid off. He's here now till at least the end of the 2026 season. Delighted to have him here. Can't wait to see him on the pitch, and can't wait to see what he brings to the Whitecaps in what is going to be a very exciting MLS run-in. The missing piece, Axel described him as, is this the piece to push us to top 4? I said without making an addition. I didn't think we could. We've made that addition now. I'm confident we can. I have no doubt at all that we're a playoff team. Can we get that top 4? Can we get that home field advantage in the first round of the playoffs? And can Stuart Armstrong be the big difference maker that we think he is? Well, we'll find out soon enough. Obviously, you don't want to put too much pressure on him right away. Coming in, still trying to get fit, adjusting to the league. His first away game could be away to Houston, which is going to be very different kind of temperatures and atmosphere than stuff that he's used to. But I'm looking forward to seeing him in MLS. So that is pretty much it for the Stuart Armstrong chat. But of course, we couldn't let him go without asking the all-important question, does Stuart Armstrong fancy a chocolate digestive? We do this with everyone when they arrive, and we say you're not a Whitecaps player till you've done this segment on our show. So you're sitting at home, it's morning, early afternoon, you want to have a hot beverage. Do you have a tea, a coffee, hot chocolate? What's your hot beverage of choice?
Coffee always.
Black, cappuccino, espresso style?
If I'm at home, it's always like Americano style. If I'm going out, I would get like a flat white.
Flat whites are starting to be widespread here. When I first came here, no one knew. No, it's like, I was like, there's no flat whites. But now loads of places do it, so you'll be good with that.
Yeah.
Do you have a sweet tooth? What would be your favourite accompaniment to have with a coffee then?
Coffee, I love chocolate, so I would do some sort of chocolate covered biscuit.
So could we tempt you with a chocolate digestive?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Anyone fancy a chocolate digestive? Anyone fancy a chocolate digestive? Anyone fancy a chocolate digestive, even though it sounds suggestive? Anyone fancy a chocolate digestive?
Ding, 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 winner, winner. Chicken dinner, or I should say chocolate digestive dinner. We got a chance to do all our usual fun segments with Stuart in our chat today, so I'll bring you a couple more of those in episodes to come. I need to bring these fun segments back. I've got a lot actually stored that I've never brought you, so over the next few weeks, let's get these fun ones back. Chocolate digestive, take me out, jam. We'll get it all covered for you. But he likes a chocolate digestive. If that is not good enough for him to be a Vancouver Whitecap, then I don't know what is. But that is it for our Stuart Armstrong chat. It's not it for our Whitecaps chat. It's not it for our featured interviews. We're back with another one with Whitecaps winger Fafa Picau after we bring you the first song from our new album of the month.
Hey, I'm Fafa Picau, and you're listening to the AFTN Soccer Show.
Without a reason, another promise falling through another season passes by you.
Welcome back to the AFTN Soccer Show on CITR Radio 101.9 FM. And kicking off this part, it's the first song from our new album of the month here at AFTN from Dunfermline, Fife, Scotland. One of the best bands to come out of Fife, Big Country. That is the first track on the band's debut album, 1983's The Crossing, and that was In a Big Country. And it was a big hit, that song. You may have heard it, depending on what radio stations you listen to. It was the band's third single. It reached number 17 in the UK and US charts, but number 3 in the Canadian charts. And the album reached number 3 in the UK charts and number 4 here in Canada. Till I did my research for this, I didn't actually know Big Country were that well known over here, but it's a fantastic album. We'll have 5 songs to bring you over the course of the month, and that was the first of them. Lead singer of the band, Stuart Adamson, sadly passed away. He formed that band when he split with the Skids, another Fife legendary band, a punk band, and it was a very sad. Stuart struggled with alcoholism for years and ended up taking his own life, and was such a talented singer-songwriter. But the legacy of music that he's left behind is fantastic. So as I say, more songs to come from Big Country over the few weeks of this month. But now, so it's time for our second featured interview this episode. Oh, Ambassador, you are spoiling us. It's time for this episode's featured interview. And it's with a man that is heading off on international duty away to represent Haiti in the Nations League in a couple of games against Puerto Rico and San Martin. Fafa Picau. Fafa, in his first season with the Whitecaps, having a fantastic season so far. It's his third best season in his MLS history. His third best season as well for goals. He's got 12 goal contributions now, 8 goals and 8 assists. And he's going off to play for Haiti, as I mentioned. We'll talk a little bit about Fafa after the interview. So go stick the kettle on, grab another biscuit of choice because you are worth it. Sit back and enjoy our second featured interview this episode. Here's Fafa. So, Fafa, thank you for coming back on the show, giving up your time after training today. And the sun's out. It's a beautiful time of year in Vancouver. When we last spoke, you were in Spain. How's life been for you in Vancouver since then?
First, pleasure for having me again. It's always a pleasure. It's been interesting because when I signed, I went straight to Marbella from Miami, and we ended up flying back to Vancouver for a brief few days, and then kind of straight into it at Victoria, and then Mexico, and then California for the rest of preseason, and coming back. So the house hunt, the apartment search, and kind of getting to figure out the city. I was doing all of that from a distance, and then finally settled in probably a month in, and now I'm very comfortable with the city and feel right at home.
I remember seeing a picture of your place on the Whitecaps website. It's a stunning view you've got right over BC Place. Must be nice.
No, it's beautiful. It's honestly beautiful. And then there's another balcony where you can see the water and mountains. And I always tell people, Vancouver is one of those cities that you could be right in the city, but just a few minutes away, you're in some of the most beautiful nature. So I'm definitely taking advantage of that.
Yeah. Now on the pitch, you're having a great season. Your third best season in MLS in terms of like goals and assists and like goal contributions. It feels like it's really clicked for you here.
Yeah, definitely. As I've told so many people, I feel the freedom. But I also owe that to a lot of my teammates and staff, and just allowing me to kind of be myself. We have such a tight-knit locker room and a great group of guys on and off the field that's allowed me to do so. You have a team with no egos, a lot of talented players with no egos, which is very it's very uncommon. So having this opportunity to do what I love to do most and just be free, I think it's getting the best out of me.
Yeah, we've had different locker rooms over the years, and this definitely feels like a very good one. And you're 3 goals away from matching your record in MLS for a season. Four from beating that. Is that? I know you focus on the team, but is that like one of your prime individual goals now for the rest of the year to try and get the most goals ever in a season?
I'd be lying if I said it wasn't. That's it's as a player, an attacking player, something that I've also expressed previously with some people is that you can be suppressed in some formations or styles of play in a lot of clubs. And if you look at my first 2 years in Philly, my stats were very good. Third year, we played without wingers, so I was kind of in a different loop and playing different positions. I think I had a very good season and the team did well, but it didn't show up on the stat sheet. Then I go to Dallas on a COVID year, which was a very strange year, I think, for everyone. Then you go to Houston, where I played under Tab, who I loved and had a very good season, but it didn't lead to team success. And then Nashville last year, where I think I had a fantastic season, but again, it didn't show up on the stat sheet. We were a very defensive first, tactically structured team, and and my stats suffered because I was a lot further from the goal than I would want to be, and your legs aren't able to do as much as they would want to do offensively. So fast forwarding to now, I'm very comfortable in everything that I can do, and I know these are maybe skills and attributes that I've had before and things that I could have done for many years, but right now it's paying off because I'm in a system and also again with a group of guys that are very unselfish and we all want to see each other succeed. And I think in the end that leads to the success of individuals just as much as the team. So it's great for everyone.
Yeah, hope your agent's got a good little bonus trigger in if you have your best season ever. It's like I think you deserve that. Last Whitecaps thing, and then we'll talk about what we mainly want to talk about today, which is Haiti. The running now is coming up after this long break for Leagues Cup. It feels very much in the team's own hands now for top four. It's going to be tough, but the quality is certainly there to get a top four finish and some home advantage, hopefully, in the playoffs this year.
Yeah, definitely. I think we have a group of guys that are starting to see that we're right there. We can definitely finish in top four if we put to it. We know it's not going to be easy. We have some tough opponents as well as a difficult schedule coming up with the international breaks and us having to play through international breaks. It's not so simple as it may seem, but at the same time, we have a lot of guys that are willing to step up and do the job. And we know that we have belief in everybody on the pitch and guys that are coming on and guys that will take place during absence of other players. So it's something that's not going to be easy, but at the same time, we know that it's very attainable. And I think the group of guys really believe in it.
Well, that's a nice way to transition to talking about you being away with Haiti. You're one of 6 players that's going to be away during this international break for the Nations League games against Puerto Rico and St. Martin. Before we kind of look at these games coming up, I want to take you back just to the World Cup campaign that started. Haiti's top of Group C with Curacao, wins against St. Lucia and Barbados. How did you see those two games from a Haiti perspective?
Very good. I think you look at our group, we have fantastic players now. I think this may be one of our best generations yet. Those games are never easy. There's no small country, especially when you're playing these games in the summer. The travel also for some guys coming from Europe, guys like me coming from Vancouver, they're not simple. However, the group is we have a great bond. We have an amazing bond between us, a great brotherhood, and I think we're on the right path under our new coach, Sébastien Minier. He's doing a fantastic job of blending the guys together and also implementing the right amount of discipline, but still allowing culturally us to be ourselves and play to our strengths. So it's special.
And it's such an interesting qualifying campaign because obviously with 3 of the big nations in CONCACAF not in it,
Yes.
Haiti's got a great chance to be there for the first time since 1974. With that in mind, you've started well. How frustrating is it now that you're not back into World Cup qualifying until next June?
That's the toughest part. I think the schedule and how far spread out it is. It's a bit tough, but at the same time, we have all of these games in between that allow us to continue to gel. Because again, it's not a new group, but a lot of new structures being implemented. So when you look at guys that are trying to learn our new system or just get to know this new staff even better, it gives us time. We're buying time right now to get to that point that we want to be. And I think again, the staff has done a great job of painting the picture very clear for all of us, what we want to achieve. We know it's very attainable, not just because the three teams are automatically qualified, which for sure helps, but in the same time that we do have a very talented group of young guys and some older vets that are still have great legs running. So I think overall, as much as it's difficult to see it spread out so far, we're also taking advantage to continue to gel and build chemistry.
That 74 World Cup, that's the first one I kind of remember watching, but I was still really young, so I don't remember too much apart from highlights of Scotland games. So I don't remember Haiti being at it even. But is it still talked about in the country that you talked about this new group? It's kind of maybe a new kind of golden generation, but is that group from the mid-70s talked about in the country as being like the pinnacle of Haitian football?
Yeah, I want to say of course, a very special year. We still praise those guys and what they did during that era. But at the same time, we also look back at 2019, Haiti reaching, I believe it was semifinals in Gold Cup, and putting up some great performances against some top-notch national teams. So we know it's there. We see the history. If you look at a lot of the Haitian rooted players and Haitian born players that haven't played for Haiti and are maybe in Europe and playing in some big clubs right now, or have decided to play for different national teams, the talent is there. The talent's there, and the opportunity for us to do something big is there. And I think more and more now that guys are seeing it, it's bringing more people on board to want to be a part of what can be something fantastic.
And I was trying to find stuff online about your grandfather and like when he played for Haiti, and I've not been able to find anything in my searching in the last couple of days. But when you were on the last time, we chatted about you making the switch and everything like that. But knowing that your grandfather played for Haiti, when did he play exactly?
So my grandfather would have passed. He passed in 2005. Interesting story. I obviously learned a lot from him at a young age alongside my father. But I didn't realize how big he was until I went to his funeral. When we went, he had founded a club called L'Aigle Noir in Haiti. And when we went to his funeral, the lines and lines and crowds of people that were outside to pay their respects outside of the church, it was something I did not expect. I cannot recall the years he played because I just spent my years with him as grandpa.
Yeah.
But from what I've heard about him, he was an extremely technical, intelligent player that was a joy to watch. So everything he taught me, I took it in hand and tried to implement it into my own game. And every time he came to watch me play, I tried to impress him as a young guy.
Oh, that's fantastic. The way it is with Haiti just now, obviously you've not been able to play games at home.
Yes.
And these qualifiers so far has been in Barbados. I think these two games coming up are both Puerto Rico. Is that right?
Correct.
Yeah. Do you think any time in the immediate future you're going to be able to play games in Haiti? I kind of saw on the schedule it looked like the November dates were penciled in for being in Haiti, but I'm not sure if that's right or not.
Yeah, so it's a tricky topic because we almost never know with the instability currently socially. It's very tough. We would obviously want to play at home because if anybody's played in Haiti, they know how difficult it is to play in front of our crowd and the special support we get. In the same time, we know it's currently not, security would be an issue when it comes
Mhm.
to us playing at home, and it's very difficult for everything that's going on. In the same token, that's why I think a lot of us do this for the country. The guys, whether we're born there or have roots running through our blood, um, from Haiti, we're all doing it for the same thing, and I think that's what bonds us even more and makes us go out there and give everything we have, because we know that if we can bring something special, um, soccer wise, as much as they adore and love this game, we think we could uplift a lot of spirits and maybe turn some things around as well in the nation. We're definitely paying the price right now when we have our home games, because we're not getting that same home field advantage. But at the same time, we have each other and we have the support of the country, and we're trying to do the best that we can to help elevate the nation.
Yeah, I think whenever you do get that next home game, it's just going to be an amazing atmosphere from everyone. Now, these two games coming up, what are you expecting from them? It's the start of the Nations League qualifiers, Puerto Rico, St. Martin. On paper, you're probably the favourite for both of these games. What are you expecting down there?
A lot of heat. It's gonna be hot. We know that. At the same time, we're expecting another opportunity to gel, but also we need results. If you look at the St. Lucia game, I can't recall if it was the St. Lucia or the Barbados game. We were down, and again, no team in CONCACAF now is very easy. They're very difficult games, different tactics, different structure, different style of players you're playing against, in comparison to week in, week out. So when you go play these games, none of them are easy. At the same time, we also know we have to grind out some games, and sometimes it's not going to be the prettiest football in these stages, but we have to get results regardless, and we hold ourselves to that standard. So we're going out there to try to grab 6 points. Nothing's guaranteed, even if we're favorites. At the same time, we wanna build on that and keep going towards the next camp.
And you've got another teammate here in Vancouver now with Mickey Kintav. Do you get a chance to hang out with him too much?
Oh yeah, Mickey and I, we're together probably 2, 3 times a week. We spend a lot of time together. Before I got here, we were already talking about me coming here. It's so we have a great friendship and relationship. On the road with Haiti, we're also roommates. We share a lot of similar interest in music and also in just life things. So it's really cool to have him here. We're only about 30 minutes apart from each other, so sometimes we meet halfway, or sometimes he comes over, or I go that way. So it's really nice having him around.
We're going to be speaking to Mickey in a couple of weeks as well. We'll maybe try and do a teammates thing and see what
Awesome.
things you can say about each other.
Definitely.
One of the things I know you mentioned a few weeks back, I think JJ wrote about it in the province, is you've been missing Caribbean food and good quality Caribbean food. After that plea went out, did you get any tips, any good places that you've been going?
I haven't completely yet. I am planning for my mom, and that's also due to the fact that we've been um kind of we were quite on the road quite a bit, and then we got this
Yeah.
strange long break. So I was trying to figure out if mom comes up and just creates her magic in the kitchen for me instead. But for the moment, I've still had some spots where um, it's not um, it's not too bad. It's close enough to home until mom gets over here. So I'm really focusing on that. I go back to Miami whenever I can, even if it's for a day or two to see my parents. And mom is always whipping up things and doesn't let me go out to eat. So I always take advantage of that.
Yeah, you just need to get her here and just work her and freeze all this stuff and just have weeks of supply of stuff in your freezer.
100%. But if I have it, then I know she's gonna make for the whole team as well. She's that type of person. So definitely can't wait for her to visit.
I read an article with you ages ago where you spoke about when you were a kid, you were kind of quite addicted to the Food Network.
Oh yes. Yes. So I loved 30-minute meals. I also used to love watching Emeril Lagasse. His show was amazing. And I would just sit there, Iron Chef as well. I just love to watch people cook, even though I can cook pretty well. I don't think I've cooked since I got to Vancouver. I spend most of my time eating out or on DoorDash. Um, but those shows, I love them. And now I think the biggest one I'm hooked on is it's not on Food Network, it's on Netflix, is It Cake? So
Oh,
that's,
yeah, that's insane.
have you seen it?
I've seen bits of it and I've seen like photos of stuff, and it's like you can't tell
Amazing.
what's what. It's crazy.
I'm currently watching season 3, and there's one contestant. I believe he has a cake shop. It's out in Surrey, so I'm gonna go give it a look. Once I go back to that episode where he mentions his shop being in Surrey, I'm gonna go take a peek and see the place.
Oh, wow. Last thing, I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about music
Yes,
because I know you did your own version of Lift Every Voice and Sing,
yes,
which is the Black National Anthem. So
yes,
when I was watching stuff about that, I was Googling and I knew you'd done a song recently called Boomerang, but I
yes,
found a one way back, well, not way back, but a couple of years ago with King Bad Boy as well.
yes, yes, yes.
That is
Uh,
fantastic.
That one was I was just in the studio and I started doing ad libs. I was hanging out with them and they didn't know I sang at that time. And when they heard it, they were like, Fafa, you got to do something. So I was like, all right, give me 6 days, I'll write to it. I didn't write anything for 6 days. I came into the studio the next time and they're like, are you ready? I was like, all right, I need everybody out. So I wrote that probably in 5 to 10 minutes and
Wow.
we had it locked in. I write a lot. I spend a lot of my free time writing. During off season, I get ideas around 2 a.m., 3 a.m. and I just keep writing and writing. So that's where I like to spend my free time, making music. I feel it's one of my outlets to get some creativity going. It's something I've done since young, but I think now I've been able to take it a bit more serious. There's quite a few artists that are pretty high in the game that have reached out to collab. So I'm expecting a few projects, mainly towards off season, but still one or two that I finished already that I just need the videos to be done that I can release probably in the next 2 months to 2 to 3 months.
Oh, cool. And so is there an album coming?
For what I've seen now in the music world, I think people pay more attention to a single. So I'm
Yeah.
just collab and also have individual projects and just shoot them out individually. And when people are kind of familiar with my work, maybe drop an album or at least an EP so they can kind of listen through something where it's because right now a lot of the music is very random. I have that song with King Bad Boy, and then I have this compa Afrobeat boomerang song, and then I have Mellow Mellow that has already been done, but we're working on release in the next 2 months, which is more of an Afro. And then I have an R&B, and then I have a Christian Spanish track that I'm working on as well. So that's a romantic Christian song that I'm working on. So there's quite a few in different genres. So I don't wanna drop an album where it's just everything overlapping each other. I'd rather just throw out a few different projects and see what sticks.
Cool. As you can kind of see from behind me, I'm an audiophile. That's
That
just
is amazing, by the way.
some
I
of
was
my
gonna ask.
CDs.
That is amazing. It's
I've
fantastic.
got a huge vinyl collection as well. So what would be your like you're at home and you're wanting to stick on just your favorite album or artist? Who is your favorite artist?
That is the most difficult question I think I've ever answered, and it's one that I can't.
Yeah.
Anybody that spends at least 6 hours around me will realize that I have what we call music ADD. I can go from one artist to another. I can hear a word while somebody's having a conversation and start singing that word that's in a song. So I can go from Bocelli, who I'm obsessed with his music, to Tupac, and then I'll go to Mark Anthony and listen to salsa, and then go to Magic System, who's a Ivory Coast group, and then I want to put on some Arab music as well. So it really it just varies. My day, I listen to maybe 15 different genres per day. And so it's difficult to tell. It depends on my mood and who
Mm.
I'm around, and that kind of gets the spark.
That's fantastic. Yeah, I like to pride myself that I can think of a song to play for any occasion. So when we're doing stuff on the show, if there's a theme, I can always get a song that I know to match that theme or player or club or whatever.
Oh, it's
Uh,
amazing.
I spoke to Ali Ahmed a few weeks back and I said, oh, do you fancy? He was talking about his relationship with you and closeness with you. And I said, oh, he's got to get you in the studio. So he was up for that.
Oh, Ali's down to do some music?
Yeah.
That would be amazing. He's actually given me some really cool Habesha music. He gave me some of the Ethiopian tracks, and I'd heard some in the past, but he passed me some songs that that he listens to when some of the guys we do Parcheesi at my house. It's a board game.
Yeah.
So he was playing it for us on the stereo, and I was obsessed. So every once in a while I ask him to shoot me a new track that's from his roots, so I can enjoy it. Even if I don't understand what they're saying, I really like the rhythm and the vibe that it creates.
Yeah, we're pretty much out of time. I was going to ask you about Parcheesi because it's very much like Ludo that I played as a kid growing up in Scotland. It's just slightly bigger board with different stuff. But thank you for being so generous with your time today, Fafa.
No, pleasure's mine. Pleasure's been mine.
Thank you so much, man. Really appreciate it.
Pleasure's mine.
Glad you're staying in Vancouver, and I can't wait to see you on the pitch for the season running.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you for having me, man.
Every city we take over. Classy, ratchet, international, got range like Rover. It's Bon on the beat. Bad boy kills the mic, and I can kill you with my feet.
Great stuff from Fafa Picau there, talking about Whitecaps, Haiti, football, just his grandfather who was a Haitian international, just the situation in Haiti. And we had a lot of good chats as well about food, about music. Some I've left in, some I'm going to have in some own little segments this show and in shows to come. It was great chatting to Fafa about all his loves, football, family, food and music. And the song that we played you out with there was the song that I mentioned that he had recorded with King Bad Boy. The song is called Andamos Prendio, and you can find that on YouTube and all the usual places.
Would you say it's your favorite interview of 2024?
I actually texted you and said that. Genuinely, it was my favorite interview of the year so far. Like when I chatted with him back in January, him and Demir, two great interviews. That one, he was so good. He's chatted to some media the last few weeks, and he's not been that chatty because he's been getting all the questions about his contract situation.
Yeah.
But I've got to say as well, he gave up time. We couldn't get it done when he was at training, so he did that from his house. Like he gave up time of his own.
He let you come to his house?
Sadly not. But he was in his house, and he gave up time of his own on Thursday afternoon to chat with me as well, and like just talking about his passions. And it's like he's such a lovely guy, such a great interview, and he's had a great season, Zach. And we know he's here now till at least the end of the season.
Yeah, and I was reading an article online this last week, Michael, from our good friend Hard Journalist. Did you see this article?
Yes, I did.
And it was like very reminiscent of something that's happened in Whitecaps history, where she insinuated or claimed that his stay in Vancouver will be extended per the terms of his contract should he have, I believe it's 3 more goal contributions.
Yes.
How many is he at right now?
12. 8 goals and 4
15.
assists.
15 is the number. Okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
I don't know if it's overall goal contributions or goals, because if he gets 3 more goals, that equals his best season in MLS in 2021. So I'm not sure. I'd heard something myself that he had got a trigger in his contract, which is great work by the agent.
The article said 3 goal contributions, I think, though, right?
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
But I mean, I mentioned to him there because I had also kind of heard that. I said, "Oh, you've got a good clause in your contract," and he kind of like laughed about it. But yeah, I mean, it's not like the Brexit situation where the Whitecaps didn't want him to hang around, but in the end, they were stuck with him.
Well, to be fair,
I imagine we want to keep Fafa hanging around because he's been so good this year.
To be fair, Robbo, I think, was happy for Breck to stick around, just not at that.
Not the dollar rate, which of course I would assume as well that this contract, if it is triggered, is going to be at a higher dollar rate for Fafa as well. Now, the thing is, Fafa has said, look, I'm happy here. I just wasn't happy with my playing time. Right. And as we said, the way to do that is to get your time, seize it, and then not lose your place. And full credit to him, that's what he's done. He's enjoying it here. I mean, chatting to him there, he spoke about how much he loves it here. And he loves how you've got the city and that 10 minutes you can be away out in nature. And that's the common thing that so many folks say about here. He loves the dressing room. Like, he's got a really good group of friends in this team, and they have Parcheesi meetings, which I ran out of time to speak to because I'd said to him 20 minutes and we went 25 because he was so enjoying talking about food and stuff that I was like, oh, if you need to go. And he's like, no, it's fine. It's like, I didn't want to push it by talking about Parcheesi. I was trying to get an invite basically to their Parcheesi parties. So I'll try that next time around. 'Cause I used to play Ludo, which is very similar. And obviously Ryan from Scotland probably played Ludo, so he's part of their Parcheesi parties as well. I mean, I'm also happy to go to a cheesy party.
Oh my goodness!
If they've got lots of cheese and 80s music, I'm happy to go to one of those as well.
Classic, Michael. Classic.
But yeah, he's been good. I want to have him around. He likes it here. The thing is, and you can hear his family, understandably, loves him to bits.
Yeah.
They're in Miami. And he did mention there, he goes to Miami every opportunity he can. So even if it's just for a day, he wants to go and visit his family. Now, that's costly. It's a lot of time. I think there is a direct flight now that you can get from here to Miami, but it's not ideal.
No.
And if he is missing his family, then it would be understandable that he would want to be somewhere that he could get there a bit closer. Also trying to find decent Caribbean food. He hasn't found it. And as we may or may not have heard there, depending on what I've edited, he's going to get his mum to come, freeze all the food, stick it in the freezer so he's got all this Caribbean food. So anyone listening to this, if you've got top recommendations for Caribbean food, tag us, tag Fafa, let him know where to go in Vancouver or roundabout for Caribbean food. Could be the difference between them staying or not.
No pressure.
No pressure on everyone. But great stuff from Fafa. We've got one more part to go. And we'll be back with that after the start of a new musical segment that I teased a few weeks back. And we'll be back with that after this.
Hi, I'm Alfonso Davies, and you're listening to the AFTN Soccer Show.
Welcome back to the AFTN Soccer Show on CITR Radio 101.9 FM. And kicking off this part, it's a new segment that I'm going to be running for the rest of this year and all of 1995. And all. Oh. I'm going to leave that in just to
you should leave it.
Just to show my stupidity. All of 2025. I'm not saying I've gone back in time with all this Oasis stuff, but I think it's playing on my mind a little bit. I think wearing this T-shirt from 1995 is
doing it.
It's transported me back. Anyway, the musical segment that started off this show. So when I wrapped up all the 1974 stuff, I said, I've got something else that's going to start in a few weeks. So what it was Britpop, because it's my favorite times musically, punk new wave, late 70s, early 80s. The C86 time, which was jangly, shambling guitar bands, which we're actually going to be doing in our 2026 podcasts. Not that I plan meticulously ahead with stuff here, but I do a bit. And then Britpop. And I'd planned this before the Oasis reunion. In my own way, I like to think it was because we're doing this that the Gallagher brothers thought, let's just bury the hatchet and get back together. Let's do it for Michael and his show. We'll reach out to them to see if they want to come on. Actually, going back to me getting tickets, they are apparently going to be playing North American dates at the end of this year. But if they come to Vancouver or Seattle, which I'd imagine they'll do one or both, I would probably go to that and then just sell my Edinburgh tickets, to be honest, because it's a lot of money for all the other stuff by going to Edinburgh. But we'll see. Maybe I'll do both. And maybe they won't be together by the end of the UK tour to make it to the North American tour. I think if we get past the first dates in Cardiff, I'll be amazed. But we'll see what happens. So 1995 was a great year for Britpop. Absolute amazing tunes came out that year. But there was a lot of good tunes from the second half of 94 as well, which is why I wanted to kind of bring in to start this from September. I should have probably started it at the start of August, but I was still wrapping up the 1974 stuff.
Is like Radiohead included in this?
Yeah, well, see, that's the thing. I classed their first album as Britpop.
Right.
And like Britpop's, it's a tough list because Radiohead are included. I like another band, Suede, but Suede tried to distance himself and say we weren't really Britpop, but to me they were.
Yeah.
So I mean, when you're thinking Britpop, you're thinking Oasis, Pulp, Blur, Stereophonics, like Shed 7, like those big bands as well. So what I'm wanting to do is not just play like this week, 30 years ago, Live Forever was in the charts. And definitely maybe had just come out the week before. So I could have played an Oasis song tonight. But I want to play some more obscure Britpop songs. Some folk will have heard of, some folk will have never heard of, some bands some folk will never have heard of. And I don't know where this one will fall in for people, but the song that kicked off this part was Echo Belly, an English band with a girl-fronted band. There was a lot of really good girl-fronted bands in the Britpop era. That is a song taken from their debut album, Everyone's Got One, shortened to Ego. And tying in with the Ego theme, the song we played there was I Can't Imagine the World Without Me. And to be honest, Zach, I can't imagine the world without me, without you, without the AFTN Soccer Show. Does that play into our ego? Who knows? But their debut album, it hit the #1 spot in the UK indie album charts this week 30 years ago. And this song re-entered the UK indie singles charts. It peaked at #8 in the main UK album charts. And that was the third single release from it. It was originally released in June 1994, peaked at number 39, and then got a bit of a revival when their album came out this month 30 years ago. The album got knocked off the #1 spot in the indie charts by Oasis's Definitely Maybe. And since it's been an Oasis-themed show, very apt to kick off this Echo Belly. Let us know, if you're a Britpop fan, who your favourite Britpop bands were. Like music and football is my two loves.
I know some of I know man. I know some of these bands. I just don't know them well. They're not my favorite band. But Radiohead, I really appreciate Radiohead. I've gotten to see them once, twice. No, 2 or 3 times live.
I've seen them once here.
Yeah, I saw them once at UBC.
Oh, that's where I saw them.
Yeah, and I saw them once at Molson Park in Barrie. And did I see them again? But to me, and I know that within the realm of Radiohead appreciation, there's the different eras and whatever.
Yes.
For me, I like Kid A is the pinnacle. Like I know for most people, it's probably OK Computer or whatever. But for me, Kid A is musically, and Amnesiac. Both of them are quite magnificent albums. I do appreciate all the early stuff, Pablo Honey and the Bends and OK Computer are also like extremely high quality, and the stuff that came after is also good. But yeah, you've gotten something off your shelf.
Yes.
Is it like autographed? Is it sweated on? Oh, there you go. Autographed to Pablo Honey. Nice, Michael.
I've also got the single Creep autographed by
Yeah.
them as well.
Oh, because
between the two albums, just before their second album came out, they did a series of 4, maybe 5 acoustic shows.
Oh, okay.
And one of them was in Edinburgh. And my friend Alan worked for the promotion company that put it on. So he got us all tickets for it. And
Nice.
we got to see an hour set, got a free t-shirt, which I also still have.
Of course you do.
From February 1995. This one's from June 1995. I've got an even older one of Radiohead. That was probably worth a bit of money because there was like 100 folk at each gig.
Oh, wow.
And everyone got that t-shirt. And how many of them have survived till now, I don't know.
See, I never saw them live back in the day. I remember I had friends who went to like, I think there were some smaller venues in Toronto before they played bigger ones, like when Pablo Honey came out. But for me, the big memory is Creep it was like such the song of like,
yeah,
of that year. So I remember my big memory of it is grade 9, a freshman year in high school, grade 9. I think we were on like grade 9 retreat. So we're off at some camp in Southern Ontario. And I remember people just playing Creep like on repeat on audio cassette, like playing it, rewinding it, and just playing it over and over and over again. And I think it was the radio edit because we were at a school function. So it was, but it was so, and now it's funny because Kirk has listened to most of my Radiohead stuff, I think. And he loves it. And then it was in the beginning, it was the opening song for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, which you probably haven't gotten to yet.
No.
Yeah, so he loves that song, and he appreciates
the band don't love it anymore.
No, I know. If you watch documentaries, they call it, what do they call it? Refrigerator noise, refrigerator buzz.
Oh, they don't like the first album. Like Anyone Can Play Guitar, Stop Whispering, amazing songs.
Kirk likes anyone can play guitar. Yeah.
That was on the Creep single, I think, as well, that I've got autographed. Last thing about music, because I'm sure folk are just fast.
This is longer than the Costa Rica.
I know. Yeah, our Austin thing was like 10 minutes. Our Britpop chat has been maybe 50, and then Costa Rica somewhere in between.
It's okay. Michael timestamps everything, so if you hate this, just jump ahead.
I want to do music podcasts and like break down albums. I'd love to do stuff like that. But this is not planned. It's just how we've gone wandering off because you mentioned Radiohead. So this Oasis gig at Irvine Beach, it was in a circus tent at the beach.
Oh, wow.
One fun story from it. I was friends with a lot of guys in bands at the time. And my friend Alan Hancock, who got us the tickets for the Radiohead gig, was in a band called Supernova. And the drummer of that band, who's also called Alan, and he was into his drugs. He swore by taking speed that he never ever got sick. So we bumped into him at Irvine Beach.
So you took a bump? You took a bump with him? Is that what
no. I bumped into him at Irvine Beach and he was off his tits.
Oh.
But we paid for him to go on the bumper cars. And it was the most hilarious thing we've ever seen. He had no idea where he was or what he was doing.
Oh, man.
We talk about that today. He's moved to New York now, actually. He's quite successful life out there. But anyway, so Oasis at Irvine Beach in a big tent. My favorite Radiohead gig, aside from the little intimate one at La Belle Angele in Edinburgh, was Gig on the Green, where they played in a circus tent.
Was that the Amnesiac tour that they did that?
Oh, it might have been. But it's like two of my favorite gigs.
I'm pretty sure Amnesiac was in some. I've seen it in some sort of tent.
Oh, it was a brilliant experience. And again, talking about good tickets, it was a proper designed ticket for that as well. I should dig those out and like tweet them out and stuff. But Anyway, that was been the AFTN Britpop show. Thank you for being with us. That was insane how much we got into that. But yeah, let us know what your favourite Britpop bands are. I guess football talk now. Let's turn our attention now to Canada, the national team. Keep the international flavour going that I feel we may have moved away from. But Canada's women's under-20s are down in Colombia, and it's the Women's World Cup. And they got off to a good start. Highly entertaining first game against France, a 3-all draw. Canada led 1-0, they led 2-1. Fourth minute goal from Nia Rose, a second from Zoe Marcassini in the 22nd. France had levelled in between those with a horrible goalkeeping blunder from Faith Finnick. Probably don't want to put too much pressure on the keeper. She was mortified. You could see just how upset she was.
Well, you and I have talked about this. I didn't watch the game live, but I PVR'd it, and I watched it all back, and that opening goal, and again to a different degree on the second goal, just looked like they were like told they need to play the ball out of the back. Like it was just like, you can't play a long ball, you can't, clear under pressure, you gotta whatever, and they just didn't look confident. Now, I don't want to be overly critical. This is our U20 national team. They're growing, developing as players. This is a massive experience for them. They ended up getting a result against a really big country with a good pedigree of developing players in France. But it was a little disappointing to see such a poor goal given away after taking the lead with such a banger.
Yeah, but I mean, Faith knows. Oh yeah, we should say like Rose's strike was like, absolutely fantastic.
Wonderful.
Yeah, I mean, I think Faith Fenwick knew what she'd done, and she'll be beating herself up for it. So she doesn't need any of us to do it as well. But I like talking about playing out the back, like the Whitecaps girls do it in League One. So I'm thinking that could also be the MO for the Ontario and Quebec.
Yeah.
Like NDC
No,
teams.
It's football the way
playing against world-class opposition in League One when you're playing out the back.
No, yeah, and don't get me wrong. I'm not saying don't play out of the back or they shouldn't or whatever. Like, no, it's proper football. I mean, it's a great way to play football. But you're also in a World Cup, and you want to achieve results, right? Like, this is one game, and they'll look back on this hopefully not with hopefully they won't be looking back on this having gone out because they didn't secure 3 points against France, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But yeah, kudos to them for trying to play it. It just left a little bit to be desired in that moment, obviously.
Yeah, the girl that got the 2 goals for France, Scana Pieco, I think probably butchered her name. She was fantastic.
Yeah,
and it's like she really put the pressure on that back line.
Well, even that finish on the first goal, it wasn't as big as the error was from Canada. It wasn't it
wasn't a gimme after that. She still had work to do. Yeah,
the way she side-footed, lifted, volleyed into the top corner over the retreating defender was a well-taken goal.
So Canada led at the half. France scored 2 goals to take the lead by the midway point of the second. Canada didn't give up though. They had a review, which we'll come to the reviews in a sec. That didn't get given, and a couple of minutes later they got their well-deserved point. Annabelle Chukwu quickly taken throw in, and again she had so much work to do. She did brilliantly in a beautiful finish.
Oh yeah, she did wonderful.
And that's 10 goals in 10 games now for her.
Yeah, I think I would have taken the opener as a little bit better of a goal, maybe. She found the corner more, I guess, but
yeah, I like it because she also showed some good fancy footwork in the build.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So I always like a bit.
They're both those were quality. Even the second, from the set play, was a tidy finish.
Yeah, but I mean the girls are looking good. The 4 Whitecaps girls in the team, in the squad: Geneva Hernandez-Gray, Jamie Perreault, Maya Archibald, Claire Logan. Had the pleasure of commentating on them all at various stages of their careers, and even this season as well. They're all with the Whitecaps. The fantastic addition, though, of Liverpool's Olivia Smith was a great get for the team. Smith recently joined the Reds from Porto for a club record fee of £210,000. So
I was a little disappointed because Smith came off early. I felt like, was it like 60 something or whatever? I just like, because I was I guess because she was the one of the players I knew the most about in the squad. So I was like, oh, what's she gonna show and what's she gonna do? And it wasn't like she wasn't bad or anything. I was just surprised that she came off when she did.
Next up for Canada, as I'm saying, we're recording this on Sunday, should be out on Tuesday, September the 3rd at 6 p.m. Pacific time. It's the next Canada game. They're taking on Fiji. Now, Fiji qualified as runners-up in the 2023 Oceania U19 Championships. They were thumped in the final, though, by New Zealand 7-0. And in their first game at the World Cup, they were thumped by Brazil by an even bigger margin of 9-0.
Yeah.
Now, the French coach felt that the Canada game was going to be her toughest game in the group. So a draw from this now makes it very, very interesting because goals and goal difference could really be vital against Fiji for all three teams now.
Which you feel horrible for the Fijian players.
Yes. No one's easing up on them. The final group game's against Brazil on Friday at 6 p.m. and Brazil won the 2024 South American U20 Championship at a canter. It's played as a league, which I quite like for qualifying. Now, the top two in the group go through automatically to the knockout round at the World Cup with 4 of the best placed third teams. So there's no way Canada's not finishing at least third.
Yeah.
But it's all they're going to have 4 points, so they're going to get through. I mean, it's almost certain they're going to get through because they're going to put the goals up against Fiji.
Yeah.
So it's all what they do against Brazil. And say that's a draw. Say Brazil and France draw. It's all going to be who scored the most goals against Fiji. So Brazil set the standard now of 9. So Canada, they've just got to go for it now. They've got to go for goals now in these games.
Totally. And I know I said it's maybe harsh for the Fijian players to take these kind of beatings in this tournament, but again, hopefully for them in the long run, it is actually helpful for them in some way at least. But yeah, Canada can show no mercy.
Yeah, definitely can't. Now, I got a chance to catch up with U20 head coach Cindy Tye before the tournament got underway. The 52-year-old Nova Scotian has had this group for the 2-year cycle to get ready for this. She's a former national team player, had 6 caps under her belt, and she's the 2023 AUS Women's Soccer Coach of the Year with Dalhousie Tigers. That's her day job in the college game. So I got a chance to speak to Cindy just a little bit looking at the tournament, but I also wanted to talk to her about the development aspect of the girls' game here, because we know the NSL's coming. We've got League One, but the Whitecaps girls don't play in any other league apart from League One. So there does feel this big gap. And we've seen it, Zach, at the under-17 level, where they then get tested at the high level and they've not had the right development, they've not had the right prep to be at that level. So it's interesting to hear Cindy's chats about it, and we could have talked for a lot more. But here's Cindy Tye. Hey, Cindy. I guess first thing really to ask, what do you make of the competition in the group stage? What can you tell us about the 3 opponents?
Well, it's exciting for us. Obviously, 3 different opponents, very different opponents. With France, who we met in the last World Cup, and then Fiji, who we don't know too much about because we've never seen them before in competition. And then, of course, Brazil. So for us, it's exciting to be tested against all 3, which we feel will be very different looks for our kids.
I was wanting to ask you as well about the fact a lot was made of every player in the squads had experience in League One. I was just really wanting to get your thoughts on how important you feel that league has been for the development of these girls. Like here in Vancouver, obviously, You've got a couple of girls, they've won championships, and I've really seen their progression in the league over the last few years.
Yeah, it's been an important part, especially for young players. If they're here and they're not in school yet in NCA, then it gives them that environment while they're at home. And then I know a lot of our kids, when they came back from university, they had a place to play. So, and they're playing against, of course, older kids, university or ex-national team players too. So it gives them that competition. And the Vancouver kids, especially this year, have had quite a ride with that and a lot of great competition. And the Ontario kids, for the most part, have been together throughout that. So that's been a very important part too for us.
With the new NSL league coming on board, I guess a lot of girls in this age group are going to have some tough decisions as to, do they go the college route? And obviously, being with Dalhousie, you're going to kind of feel that's the way that they need to go. And I'm involved with UBC here, and it's going to be tough for them. I mean, what advice would you give them? Just go with what you feel is the best for you?
Yeah, I think every person's different and every player's different that way. So there are some kids that will make that decision not to go to school at the time. And well, they may be taking courses or other things and just sort of follow that professional football dream. And now it's a reality in our country. And I do think this age group will be definitely a target for that league right now. So I mean, I think for me, they have to assess where they are in their not only their football, but also in their life and their academics and what they feel is important to them at the time. And you'll have kids make different decisions based on that. And that would be my advice, that they would make the best decision for them.
I'm just curious where you feel the state of the women and the girls youth game is in Canada. We saw it was a bit tough for the U17s when they had got to the World Cup. And although the national team's done really well, there does seem to be a gap somewhere in helping these girls play the top teams. Like here, the Whitecaps girls only play in League One and they don't have a regular league to play in. Would you like to see more sort of regular leagues and competitive games at like U17, U18 level?
Yeah, that's a very layered question. There's no question about it in terms of that. I mean, we know that bringing the best players together as often as possible to play each other top competition is critical for the development of our young players. I think we have gotten away from it a little bit, and sometimes it's geography and organization. But I feel like the League One has helped fill that gap for kids. But we actually see that it's there's even a gap between that and the next step. So the league that we have coming in, I think, will help fulfill that for some of our very talented young players to be able to aspire to do that. So that's going to be important because right now, I mean, maybe a little bit less now. Before, I mean, our best kids are going down to NCAA. So you're dealing with, we have kids here like 12 or 13 different schools. So that's hard in the development when they come back, especially for the national teams. Because they're receiving different messaging, they might be playing in a different position. And so to be able to keep our kids home would be definitely ideal and create that environment and pathway for them through not only League One, but of course, the new league.
Great. Thanks, Cindy. Good luck with the tournament.
Thank you.
Cindy Tye there. Some good thoughts from her, and it is a discussion we could certainly go into a lot more about the development on the women's game below the semi-pro and the pro level. Last thing I want to mention about the Under-20 World Cup, though, Zach, they've got the new review system, Football Video Support, a simplified alternative to VAR. It was used at a trial basis in that Blue Stars tournament the Whitecaps were at last year in Switzerland. So it's used in this Under-20 Women's World Cup in Colombia. And it's said to be a cost-effective way to support match officials with technology, especially for places that can't afford the full VAR setup.
So this is VAR Lite. This is what the CPL needs?
So basically that's what I'm thinking. So football video support, unlike VAR, doesn't use dedicated match officials So it's not automatically checking things. Instead, the coaches have a limited number of reviews. So in these group games, each coach has 2 reviews. So if they play a review and it's upheld, they get the review back. And if it's not, then they lose that review. Right. If a game in the knockout goes to extra time, they get an extra 3rd review. So the 2 coaches can make a review request per match, 2 of them in this case, when they feel there's been a clear and obvious error in match-changing incidents,
which
a goal, a no-goal, a penalty, a no penalty, red card, mistaken identity. And it was used in this.
Yeah, Tye used it to say, hey, I think
it was twice, but the French coach used it once as well.
Right, but the one I remember the most is the Canada tried to have the second French goal called back for a foul.
With the tug in Geneva, yeah.
Yeah, which was, as you and I were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
There was definitely a tug, but you also had the Canadian player trying to hold back the French player to allow the keeper, I think, to collect the ball. Which
I don't think it really had the challenge on Geneva didn't contribute to the goal because the ball was getting away by that point.
Yeah,
and Geneva was never going to get to it.
You're right.
So that's fine, but. Yeah, like Cindy used it twice. Once was for a penalty appeal, which I do feel there was some merit for. I've got to say, I do think there was a challenge. The commentator was adamant that there wasn't, but I do think that Chukwu, there was a challenge on her in the box, but was it clear and obvious to give it? Probably not. But I like it. I do think it's something the CPL should look at.
Oh, absolutely.
If that's the VAR light system they're going for, I think it's fantastic. It doesn't hold the game up too much.
No, anything that would help the match officials at CPL, I think is a bonus. Is a plus.
Last thing, just to just quickly mention, Canada's got these 2 men's games coming up. They're playing America and then Mexico in Kansas City and then in Arlington, Texas. A good chance for Jesse Marsh to get the squad together. We'll talk a bit more about the men's national team in the next show. I'll bring you some audio as well. Looking at some dual nationals, bringing some into the squad. I think these are two
Croatian.
From Burnaby. 2 very useful matches for Canada. And I'd like to see him given some time to guys that maybe didn't get a lot of time during Copa, like Theo Bair. As an example.
Yeah, it's an interesting window for them. Obviously, there's these things kind of looming over Canada soccer, right? I just hope for Jesse and for the players that these are meaningful preparations for 2026. And I think playing the U.S. and Mexico, as much as we tend to play those sides, they're the best from our confederation, and so
good measuring stick.
Yeah,
America's got their new head coach as well. They'll be up for it. We're the team that they're going to want to beat now because of what we did at Copa.
Exactly.
It's going to be 2 very useful games, and like Ali, as you heard there, was like buzzing to get back into the camp, and looking forward to seeing how these play out. We'll speak a bit more about it on the next show. Look at some of the dual national stuff as well. So another feast of football awaits in store for us this week. But that is it for the football chat. It's not it for the show, of course, because we have to bring you this episode's wavelength. And with the signing of Stuart Armstrong, I wanted to have a song to honour the newest Whitecap. And it also gave me the chance to dig this song out from 2017. Especially in light of it being the Old Firm derby today. Celtic came away with a 3-0 victory over Rangers in the end that was going on 7 or 8. They looked rampant in that. And Alistair Johnston had an absolutely tremendous first half. The balls he was putting in from the right-hand side were great. So that bodes well for the Canadian national team. But this is a song from singer-songwriter Damien Quinn, where he's just put a lot of Celtic chants to music, and one of them is about Stuart Armstrong. Here's Damien Quinn's Celtic Medley.
as fast as lightning. It's frightening, and he makes all the boys sing. This is how it feels to be Celtic champions again, as you know. Brendan Rodgers here for 10 in a row, 10 in a row. Oh, this is how it feels to be Celtic champions again, as you know. Brendan Rodgers here for 10 in a row, 10 in a row. 67 in the heat of Lisbon. The fans came in their thousands to see the boys become champions. 67 in the heat of Lisbon. The fans came in their thousands to see the boys become champions, champions. Oh, Brendan said we're gonna play him centre mid. Whoa, words can't describe when I see him in the green and white. His hair is fine, he scores belters all the time. That's why we sing this song of Stuart Armstrong. Do-do, oh, Brendan says we're gonna play him centre mid. Oh, words can't describe when I see him in the green and white. His hair is fine, he scores belters all the time. That's why we sing this song of Stuart Armstrong.
Damien Quinn, Celtic medley there. A little bit of that, paying homage to Stuart Armstrong, that was with Celtic for a while. He spent 4 seasons with Celtic after leaving Dundee United before going to play 5 seasons with Southampton in the Premier and 1 in the Championship. And the lyrics to that song, put to the tune of Enola Gay by Orchestral Manoeuvres in the Dark, the song we had to kick off Stuart's section in part 3. Are you familiar with them, Zach?
Enola Gay is the brand of smoke that most people use.
Oh, but yeah, it's the tune of that. And the lyrics are, oh, Brendan said, we've got to play him in centre mid. Ooh, words can't describe when we see him in the green and white. His hair is fine. He scores belters all the time. That's why we'll sing the song for Stuart Armstrong. So that can easily be adapted by Vancouver Albion, the Southsiders, Range City Brigade. Want to hear that? Booming out of BC Place if Stuart Armstrong does indeed join the Caps. But that is it, pretty much for the show. Just before we go though, Zach, any final thoughts from you? Keep them brief. I bet you just can't wait to get back to watching Vancouver FC now on Friday. It's superhero night. You'll be back in the Eagle's Nest. Just what are you dressing up as?
You're horrible.
The club tweeted, and
I
I believe I have it here to come along and support them in the Eagle's Nest.
Yeah, that was, whatever. We won't get into that conversation again. Looking forward to getting back to the stadium on Friday. Not the greatest performance away to Ottawa at the weekend.
No.
But
although as I mentioned to you, that was a very good 1-0 defeat, because that could have been 10.
Yeah, including Callie's PK stop, which was nice.
Yeah.
It's been a while. I didn't say before, so I'll just say now for my wrap up. I just want to thank Kendall and the Wastons for being just incredibly generous and massive generosity and just great hosts at the Saprissa game. Like I said, it would not have been as smooth an endeavor to get to the game and get tickets, and then allowing us to hang out and all that kind of stuff after. And yeah, I have a lot of time for them, obviously, and a lot of appreciation. And yeah, so just a big shout out to them. And now it's fun because Kirk is stoked about following them, even though we can't really watch their game. So we'll be following and watching the highlights and watching
I'll
the few
find a
games
way
we
for you
can.
to watch.
I just want to watch it legitimate. I don't want to.
Oh no, I know. Let me look. I'm pretty sure I'll be able to find it as a legit way for you.
Cool. Yeah, keep me posted.
Yeah.
They play in the cup this coming week. They have a cup match, I think, that kind of intersects with the international window, but then they're back at it in a week or two or whatever. So yeah, shout out to them. Looking forward to all that September has in store for the football, because there's a lot of exciting football, including the Voyageurs Cup final here in the province, and the run-in for VFC, and also the Whitecaps. And yeah, it's an exciting time. And the Canada playing again, it's going to be an exciting time.
Yeah, looking forward to it. So much football. We'll have you covered all the way here on the AFTN Soccer Show. Give us a follow on X/Twitter, AFTN Canada, AFTN Soccer on Instagram. If you're not a subscriber to our extra podcasts, it's $30 a year, $3 a month. All the details on aftn.ca. We'll be back with another show soon. Until then, thanks for listening. Take care. And mon the Caps.
Going to your first match is an experience you never forget. The atmosphere of what's going on around the pitch looks beautiful, and you always look and go, wow, I'd love to play here one day. If you get the bug, it's going to stay with you for life.
10 minutes left. Yeah, but there's still some time. It's not the final score. We need more than the numbers we're given. Show us you live and breathe the game. You're more than a name. That's what we came for. We can bring you more than the score. Every story. Let's take this thing off of the field into the real world, away from the numbers, away from the numbers.